Oh, wait. Now we are. Hello, my lovely humans. I hope the day finds you well. Thank you for lurking, Nokia. Let's see. I need to figure out the program that I'm going to. I need to learn a program properly, and let's see. Adobe. Let's try Illustrator. All right. All right, and let's see. Is it going to load it that way? No, apparently not. Okay, there we are. And then YouTube. Okay. So first up, because I'm just curious.
Hey, boss? Yes, Jay. One of your followers sent you a letter and asked a question. It says, your content's hilarious, but it's so broad spectrum, I can't tell where on the political spectrum you fall. Could you elaborate? Elaborate on my political stance? Why? I don't use my TikTok to grand scan for my beliefs. I just want everyone to have a good time. Well, they do go on to...
Oh, that's me. Okay, well.
Hey, boss? Yes, Jay.
Oh.
One of your followers sent you a letter and asked the question. Could you elaborate? Elaborate on my political stance? Why? I don't use my TikTok to grand scan for my beliefs. I just want everyone to have a good time. Well, they do go on to say that they find you funny, but they don't want to support you if you don't align with their beliefs. Why would that make any difference? If my beliefs affect how you're going to treat me, then you're the dick. If I saw a prisoner drowning in a lake, I'd still jump in to save him. I suppose that's fair enough. But as far as politics goes, there's a broad spectrum of non-offensive things that you could go after. How come we never do any political stuff? A while ago, I asked a friend of mine that's a Clinton staffer the best way to make political funnies. Really? What'd they say? What'd they say? The last words they ever spoke to me. Don't. Hey, boss. Happy first working day of 2023. Any New Year's resolutions? Oh, yeah. Happy New Year. Guessing I'm just gonna go with the standard resolution of trying to lose some weight and work out. Working out is actually really important when it comes to someone your age, but did you know you could do better weight control by watching what you eat? I don't think watching what I eat is going to get this gone any sooner than running a mile would. Really? I can prove just how important watching what you eat is by giving you one simple exercise to perform. Really? Okay, let's hear it. Okay. Next time you're about to take a shower, right before you jump in, look straight down. Everything that's hanging right between your eyeline and a clear view of your dick went in through your mouth. You know, it's okay to be right, but you don't gotta fucking murder me.
I fucking love that.
Hey, boss. Yes. I was just going over the February schedule and I noticed the entire last week had been blocked out. What's going on? Oh, yes. The 23rd through the 25th. We're going to the Last Blade Standing finale. Congratulations, your balls dropped. Are you actually competing? But they didn't. I'm not competing. Oh, that's a shame. Sounds like a hell of a hangout, though. Who's all going to be there? Well, it's going to be in Salisbury, North Carolina, at North Forge's shop/school/meat hall. It's going to be a hell of a hang. David Baker from Forge and Fire is going to be there, plus all of the contestants, and all you can drink beer for the price of your ticket. Well, however it works out, I'm glad you're going somewhere. You're really starting to talk with the tools a bit too
Hello,
much.
Eyebrows. How are you doing?
You have to talk to your equipment or it won't work right. Get out of here. Don't mind him, Wackus Bunkus.
Wackus Bonkus. Oh my god,
Hey,
that's
boss,
a reference and a half.
Up for the day. You want to head in for the birthday party? Oh, yeah. I'm just wrapping up here. Man, seems like we just did this. Yeah, the birthdays come closer as the years go by.
Alright, I'll be right back.
6 months old
I
when he came
have
out here.
food
What
in
is he,
the
7 now?
fire
7.
chamber.
Yeah, only got 11 more years for the house is mine again.
You're looking forward to an empty nest? You had a 6-bedroom house. What are you going to do with all that space?
6 bedrooms. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my wife's name to Pinky Toe.
Pinky Toe? What kind of pet name is that?
Well, it's not exactly a pet name, but the reason I'm going to call her Pinky Toe is because once the kids are out of there, I'm going to bang her on every piece of furniture in that house all day long.
Hey, boss, what's going on?
Oh, my plague-bearing snatch monkey's got me sick. I'm dripping like you would not believe. I'm trying not to rain on the product, so in an effort not to be gross, I just put in some stoppers.
You know, you could do the normal thing and maybe stay in bed for a day, maybe even go see a doctor.
See a doctor? You know I'd rather quench a blade in my ass than go in for anything other than a missing finger.
You know, right now you probably could. You forgot to flush earlier, and with the amount of oily floaters you left in there, I'm surprised the U.S. military didn't stake a claim to your sewer line. Hey, boss, mail call. What's this get more views on TikTok instructions?
Oh yeah, I ordered that. My views have been kind of shitty lately, so I wanted to see what I could do to bring them up a bit.
Well, the instructions look easy enough. I mean...
Well, if they're that easy, let's hear it. Come on, I'm busy.
Really? Okay.
Oh!
And I quote from the text, "Quit making shit content, asshole." Oh, comes in Espanol, too.
Yeah, well, does it say anything different?
Actually, yes. Hacer mejor contenido, cabrón.
Oh! You're enjoying this too much.
Enjoyment's got nothing to do with it, boss. Anyone who's dated a Latina knows that everything slaps harder in Spanish. Hey, boss, a couple customers from town stopped by and they...
I'm not doing shop tours right now, John. A little busy.
Well, no, they're not here about a tour. They're here because...
When I bumped your pay to $35 an hour, I expected that to cover you handling complaints.
And I really appreciate the raise, but this isn't really in the complaints department. It's more of a...
Oh, wait. Is it that lovely couple I met at the revival?
Well, actually, yeah.
The couple that I gave very specific instructions on how to use the marital aid I forged them?
I'm sure you did, but now that they're here...
Oh, I think I know why they're here. Would you go on ahead and send them back, please?
Hey, boss, your doctor's office is on the line. They wanted to remind you of your appointment tomorrow. Do you have any issues with it?
Doctor's appointment? I didn't book a doctor's appointment.
No, your wife did. You're over 40. You should go see the doctor every few years, you know?
Cancel that shit. I feel fine.
I knew you might say that, so I already asked. It's going to be $50 to cancel with less than 24 hours notice, and your insurance won't cover that.
Damn it. Move it for a week from tomorrow.
Okay. How about a week from tomorrow? Good? Okay. All right, week from tomorrow.
Well, that was quick. All right, now go on ahead and cancel it.
Boss, less than 24 hours cancellation is going to cost you $50.
But I'm giving him a week's notification. We just rescheduled.
I swear, all this doctor dodging, just because you're afraid of a little poke in the brown eye. Hey, boss, did you lose track of time?
What? Oh, no.
Yeah, you were supposed to cook dinner before your wife got home.
Oh, no.
She told me to tell you not to worry. She cooked dinner. Yeah, your dinner's inside, hot and ready. She even sent you out a brownie.
Thanks.
No, you're gonna eat that. I got invited to dinner. If I'm gonna suffer, you're gonna suffer.
There's nothing wrong with my wife's cooking. Alright.
I guess I don't care. As long as it happens so fast, I'm not aware of it.
What in the hell are you two talking about?
Oh, just idle chatter. Topic came around to death, so I asked Joey Ray how he wanted to go. How about you? You got a method you prefer?
Oh, that's easy. I want to go peacefully, in my sleep, like my grandfather. Not screaming in terror, like the passengers in his car. How about you?
Well, it's not going to be the easiest way to go, but I figured I'd go by suffocation, with my face serving as a seat for a woman shaped like a Pixar mom.
Death by the axe wound that smells like fish and tastes like chicken. Good on you.
Oh, God.
Hey, boss, did you hear? The city of Salisbury shut Jeremy's forge down.
The city of Salisbury shut down North Forge's school?
But what about the mead hall?
Yeah, Joey Ray, I'm afraid that's gone too.
Jeez, that's fucked. Is there anything we can do?
Can we murder the city council?
No, Joey Ray, the cops take a dim view on murdering elected officials. But for your question, boss, if you want to help, there is a GoFundMe that he started.
Excellent. Make sure you link his account down below.
We're gonna shut down my meatball before I can even mention it.
Give me that! Are you sure you want to bring him?
I'm sure he'll be fine.
Hey, boss,
Yes. What is that?
this is a baby quail. One of dozens that have hatched. One of hundreds that are hatching.
Why do I have quail hatching? It's the middle of winter. I'm not running the incubator.
Remember a couple weeks ago, two of your boys came to you, said they needed spending money, so you tasked one with collecting eggs and the other with feeding and watering your quail?
Yeah.
You said you'd give them a month for a trial run, but what's the incubation period on quail?
16 days.
You never thought to check up on them?
But I'm still buying feed. I know they're getting fed and watered or they'll all be dead.
Yeah, your wife talked to both of them. The feeder and waterer said he just feeds and waters. He doesn't even look in there to see if there are any eggs.
Give me the baby. Give me the baby.
Oh, fine. Here. Anyway, your wife said this is your mess. You got to clean it up. You're not allowed to kill them. You have to start the brooder. These are going to get raised.
Damn it, it's negative 18 now. Where the hell am I going to keep 100 quail?
Joey Ray, no! It's going to shit in your mouth. What's wrong with you?
It was so cute. I just want to put it in my mouth.
Oh, fair enough, I suppose. I think the same thing every time I see a femboy. Come on.
How about flying?
Okay, but you fall out of the sky as soon as you blink and you can't fly again until you touch the ground.
How about laser eyes?
Okay, but every time you use the power, you have to sneeze uncontrollably.
What are you two doing?
Oh, it's just a thought game. You pick a superpower, and I pick something that ruins it for you.
Ooh, I would pick endless endurance. I could swing the hammer all day long and not get tired at all.
Okay, but while you're using that power, you're so aroused you can barely concentrate.
Okay, how about the power of persuasion? I can sell anyone anything.
Okay, but it only works if you're face to face with the person and you're actively pleasuring yourself while you do it.
Hey, now, how come all my conditions are sexual deviancies?
Well, sorry, it's just kind of hard to think of anything else while you're holding a set of clamps capable of giving the ultimate purple nurple.
This is a snowball maker for kids.
Oh, come on now. Half the fun of kink is finding new and exciting uses for old stuff.
Okay. So, Adobe Illustrator Basics. Because I'm a noob.
Hello and welcome to the Complete Beginner's Guide to Adobe Illustrator, brought to you by tastycheats.com. This is a course created for beginners to Adobe Illustrator. The topics that are going to be covered in this course are the basics, so whether you have the most up-to-date version of Illustrator or you're using an older version, you should be able to follow along just fine. For this course, I will be using Adobe Illustrator CC. In this series, we will be starting from the very beginning and working our way across 19 episodes to learn all the basics and create an illustration project. To help break down the process, I have structured the course in 3 main sections: Introduction, Essential Practice, and Test Project. In the Introduction section, I will be introducing you to Illustrator and bringing you up to speed with some of the things you need to be aware of before we continue on to the Essential Practice section. In the Essential Practice section, we are going to look closely at some of the creative tools and principles in Illustrator. Here you will have the opportunity to get hands-on with the various worksheets I have designed and prepared for you to practice with. When we get to the Test Project section, we will be using all that we have learned in the Essential Practice section to create a project from scratch. After watching this series, you will be able to create your very own vector artwork ready to print. Now, If you wish to follow
So
along
you
with this
say.
course, you can download the entire project folder for free. The link is in the description. This folder contains all the worksheets, fonts, and project files necessary to follow along. If you wish to skip ahead or back at any point in the course, you can find every episode link in the descriptions of each video.
I'm just here for the
Also, I
principles.
suggest you download the PDF worksheet. You can save this to your computer and come back at any point. This is an interactive PDF which has been designed to enhance this course experience. This contains all the relevant video and project download links, so I recommend you download this PDF. And you can also find the download link for this in the description. So, what is Adobe Illustrator? Well, Adobe Illustrator is part of the Adobe Creative Suite, and in recent years has become industry standard for creating vector artwork and simple layouts for print. If you need to create logos, illustrations, posters, infographics, t-shirt designs, and flyers, Illustrator is a program to create them in. The tools in Illustrator make it very easy to create and modify shapes and strokes, to build your compositions and bring your design to life. You can also import pixel-based images to add to your layouts as part of your designs. So what are we going to create on this course? Now, for all you artists, illustrators and designers out there who love to draw and sketch on paper, hopefully this course is really going to help you. We are going to bring a hand-drawn sketch which has been scanned and placed into Illustrator and convert it into vector artwork. Then we are going to use this vector artwork in a poster and t-shirt design. So why a t-shirt and poster design? Well, we are going to explore a scenario where we are going to design for print. So we are going to be working with CMYK colours for the poster, though for the t-shirt design we will need to stay within a budget and use only Pantone colours that the printer requires. So we are going to explore how to incorporate Pantones and CMYK swatches into our artwork. So let's take a look at the finished document. So here we are in Adobe Illustrator, and here you are looking at the finished artwork document we are going to build up to. So this document consists of 4 artboards. The first 2 artboards contain the development stages in our project, and the last 2 artboards contain the finished designs. On artboard 1, we have a vector drawing composition, which was traced from a sketch drawing which was scanned and placed into our document. This complex composition contains multiple shapes and stroke vectors. On artboard 2, we have the same artwork, but this is a single flat vector. The artwork from the first artboard has been compounded into a single vector here. On artboard 3 is the finished poster artwork. Here we have lots of colours, gradient effects, and type objects. On the last artboard is the t-shirt design, and here we can also see our Pantone references, which we are going to use to incorporate correct Pantone colours into our artwork. Once we have finished the poster and t-shirt design, we are then going to export the artwork to the correct format for a printer to print the design to specification. Here are 2 PDFs we are going to finish with. If we look carefully at the first PDF on the left, we can see that this is just 1 page, and we can see a number of marks and guides around the outside. Now these are bleed and crop marks that the printer is going to use to correctly trim the artwork. Also, we have some colour squares to help the printer collaborate the colours accurately with their printers. All these marks and guides have been generated upon exporting the artwork from the Illustrator document, and we will be taking a look at how to do this at the end of the course. Over to the right, we have the t-shirt artwork PDF. Now this is a little different from the poster example. This artwork is going to be printed onto a t-shirt. So we can see here that the artwork is set on a white background, and some of the colour in the skull artwork is also white. This is where the colour of the t-shirt is going to come through and fill these areas. Notice on this example we do not have any marks and bleeds. Well, this design is not going to be printed on paper. This will become a transfer that will be heat pressed onto a t-shirt, so we do not need marks and bleeds here. So that is everything we are going to build up to on this course. So once you have downloaded the project folder, let's get into it. and we are going to begin with the first video in the course, Interface Introduction to Adobe Illustrator. So I'll see you in the next video.
Apparently the thing that I actually cared about.
Hello and welcome to this video tutorial, brought to you by tastytudes.com. In this video, we are going to take a look at the Adobe Illustrator interface. I'm going to show you around and introduce you to some of the things you need to be aware of. Now, I am currently using Illustrator CC for a Mac. If you're using an earlier version or Windows, some things may be a little different in parts, but in principle it should be the same. If you have Illustrator open and wish to follow along, you will need to first come up to Window, scroll down to Workspace, then scroll down and select Essentials. Then, to make sure you end up with the same setup you see here, we must again go to Window, Workspace, and then scroll down and select Reset Essentials. This will then set the interface to the Essentials default layout, and you should have something that looks like this. What you will come to learn later on is that you can customize this layout, but what would help right now is for you to have the same layout so you can follow along with me. Now, if for some reason you don't see the same as mine, don't panic, it's not a problem, just follow along and you should be fine. Now, on a Mac, by default, the application frame is switched off. Some of you may prefer to have this on and some of you may like this off. So let me show you what this is. If I come to Window and scroll down to Application Frame, we can see that there is no tick next to this, as it's currently set to off. If I click this, we can now see a solid grey background. This is the application frame. If I turn it off again, Windows, Application Frame, we can see the desktop. My personal preference is to have the application frame on, so I'm not distracted by the desktop background. So this is Adobe CC, and with CS6 and CC, we have this dark interface. If you're using an earlier version, you will be looking at the light interface. Now, if for whatever reason you wish to toggle the interface color, if you come to Illustrator on the top bar and scroll down to Preferences and select User Interface,
Welcome, Dark.
you can toggle the
Thank you for the
lightness and darkness here. I'm going to go with medium dark.
Oh.
So to begin, I'm going to open up a document. To follow along, you can also open up this document. This can be found in the Introduction folder in the Project folder. Now you can download this folder for free. The download link is in the description. So I have my project folder here on the desktop. When you have the project folder, simply open it, then click on Introduction, Interface Introduction, Versions, and select the version of Illustrator you're using. In my case, it's CC, and open the Interface Introduction file. This file is going to help to demonstrate various functionality of the program, which we are going to be covering a little later on in this video. So, as you can see, this is a document and it contains 4 artboards with an object on each page. Also, we have some artwork elements in the pasteboard area. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the interface. On the far left, we have this tall, slim panel. This is the Tools panel and contains all the tools that can be used in Illustrator. And as you can see, we have lots of icons. To activate the tool, we simply click it or press one of the many shortcut buttons on the keyboard. We know which tool is active because it has a highlight square behind it on the Tools panel, and also you will notice that the mouse cursor will change, indicating which tool we have active. In Illustrator, we will be using many tools, and most tools have their own unique mouse cursor. Now, if we look carefully, we can also see that some of the icons have little white arrows in the bottom right corner. If we click and hold on the icon, this will reveal more tools in that set. For example, if I click and hold on the pen tool, we can see an extra 3 tools within that set. If I click on the shape tool, we can see a variety of shapes that can be created very easily. And if we move our mouse cursor over the tab on the right, we can expand the Tools panel out, which can be very useful. And to remove this, we can simply click the X in the top left corner. So keep in mind that some tools work in sets. Now, if we take a closer look at the bottom of this panel, we can see 2 overlapping squares. One appears to be a block and one appears to be an outline of a square. Now, if you're new to Illustrator, you may not be familiar with this. What this represents is the fill color and the stroke color of an object on the canvas area. The top square is the fill and the background square is the stroke. So right now we can see that the fill color on the top is white and the stroke color is black. Now, if I come over to the canvas area and select an object, to do this, I will first need to choose the Selection tool. This tool is located at the top of the Tools menu and is recognized as the black arrow. With this active, let's select this yellow circle here. Then you can see that the fill color and stroke in the bottom of the Tools menu has changed in accordance to the selected object. We can see the fill color is yellow and the stroke is orange. This is important because it helps tell us that this object is just one object and not two separate objects. For example, with the object selected, I can click and move this around like so. I'm just going to undo that and put it back in place. And if I come over and select another object, we can see the fill color and stroke color will change again. Now, if you look closely, just above the fill and stroke color on the Tools panel, we have this little button here called Swap Fill and Stroke. And if I press this, it's going to swap the stroke and color fill like so. So very easily we can swap the fill color and stroke color. Now, to the left of the Swap Fill and Stroke, we have another little button, and this is the Default Fill and Stroke. If I press this, it's going to set my fill and stroke squares to black and white. Though keep in mind, if you have an object selected on your canvas area, like I have this circle selected here, and press it, you will see the object has changed to black and white with a default stroke applied. So I'm going to undo this, click off the object to deselect, and click on the default fill and stroke button, and now we are back to the default black and white stroke and fill. So as you can see, the Tools menu is currently in two columns. If we look closely up to the top left of the Tools panel, we can see these little arrows pointing left. If I come and click this once, we can change the panel to a single column, and if we press this again, we can go back to the double column. For the duration of this course, I'm going to click this and set my Tools panel to a single row. Now, if we move to the top of our window, we can see the standard toolbar across the top. From here, we can access various properties and controls, but we are not going to touch on that too much right now. Just under the top toolbar, we have the control panel. Now, this control panel is really useful as this will display various properties of a particular tool or object you have selected at any given time. So right now, we can see some properties here. If I close the document, we can see that it all disappears. And that is because now we have nothing going on. If I open up the document again, and I can do this easily by coming to File, Open Recent, and selecting the file, we can see the control panel kick into action. You will soon realize that this is one of the most key panels in this program, and as you use Illustrator, you will be referring to this control panel a lot. So let's take a look at how it works. So right now, I don't have anything selected. I'm going to choose the Selection tool from the top of the Tools menu and select an object on the canvas area. Let's select this blue circle here. Now, you will see the control panel change in accordance to the object. Just like earlier, we can see at the bottom of the Tools panel the fill and color stroke has changed, but also we can see this on the control panel. If we click down, we can access the swatches panel and change the color of the fill and the stroke very easily. Also, here we have the stroke property. Here we can easily toggle the stroke size.
I don't think that's
and
quite
also
the word you're
I
looking
can
for,
adjust
but
the
I mean,
variable width from a
that
choice
works.
of options. If I come across, I can also change the brush definition and even toggle the opacity of this object. So I'm going to undo all this and deselect the object by clicking off it. This time, I'm going to select the text tool from the menu. This time, in the control panel, we can see some new properties. We have properties for font choice, font style, font size, and some formatting options, all of which I can use.
I'm currently just getting screwed over by this because, yeah, that's poop. Like, where's the brush functions? Tool options? No. View. Pixel preview, trim view. Proof setup, screen. Perspective grid, hide, artboards, rulers, guide, snap. I swear. Um, my good sir, what? I thought that wasn't for like a year, almost. Yeah. Oh. Well then. Um, gonna get later. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's important to have your finances in order. Um, but are you really going to qualify for a visa? I was making a joke because Visa's a credit card. Okay, well, I quit. Okay. Let's see if I can find an answer. Adobe Illustrator keeps crashing. Reset app preferences. Okay. Like, there's no reason I should be having issues with it, so I'm just gonna uninstall. Remove. Uninstall. Remove. waiting, 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 waiting. It just had to be a butthead. Well, I was gonna learn your art program, but you screwed me over, Jimmy. Now, get rid of that. Okay, so instead, we're gonna do Krita. Hugs with old world methods. Mer.
I've made these 3 little identical mugs. Today I'm going to fire them, and then I'm going to seal each one with a different old world method for sealing pottery. And then I'm going to take them back to my studio, and we're going to see how well each one is done.
Mer.
Earthenware is by nature porous. That is, it absorbs whatever liquid you put into it, and that material will slowly weep through the walls. And so, in order to make earthenware usable, it needs to be sealed in some way. In the past, I've made videos about sealing earthenware using traditional Native American techniques, such as using grease and starches. And I've also made videos about sealing earthenware using commercial products, like cutting board sealant and liquid quartz. But in the comments of those videos, I've received a lot of good feedback about further methods I could use to seal earthenware. And so today, I've done some homework, and I'm out here to seal these mugs using old world techniques. That is, techniques that were used in Europe and the Middle East in ancient times. So the 3 materials I brought to seal pottery with today are beeswax, tree sap, and flaxseed or linseed oil. So I have 3 mugs and 3 sealing techniques. Do I have a control? No, I do not, because I'm not a scientist. I'm merely going to seal these 3 mugs, take them back, and test them. My first order of business is to get this pine pitch melted. So I'm just setting it
Also,
on
it sounds a
above
little
these
bit
hot
like-
coals to start warming it.
It sounds a little bit like his goal isn't to see explicitly which one's better, just to verify that they work, which you don't need a control for.
I learned everything I know about cooking on coals in the outdoors from Cowboy Kent Rollins. My wife Tanya also came with me today, and she's watching the firing while enjoying the warm spring weather. So here's the deal with sealing earthenware. Back in Roman times, earthenware was extremely common. Glaze, they had some glaze in Roman times, but it was almost never used.
10,
Most
80.
people used earthenware on a daily basis in ancient Rome. So my question was, how did the Romans seal their pottery, or they just deal with that weeping? I made a Roman oil lamp last year. I made a video of that. I'll put the link right up here in case you want to see that. And the first thing I had was problems with the oil just weeping out and just making an oozy mess everywhere. I did some reading about sealing oil lamps, and my friends over at Potted History said that a lot of those oil lamps had residue of milk in them, that they were milk sealed. Well, that was an interesting clue. I've done milk sealing. I did a video about milk sealing. I'll put the link down in the doobly-doo in case you're interested in that. But then I did some more reading, and I was thinking especially about ancient amphora. So those big amphoras that the Romans used to transport olive oil and wines all over their empire, across the Mediterranean Sea. Think about that as compared to like my little oil lamp, which was oozing olive oil all over the counter. If you're transporting olive oil from North Africa or Spain to Italy, you didn't want that stuff oozing out all over inside the ship. That'd be a mess. Wikipedia, which, granted isn't the best source of information, Wikipedia had this to say about how the Romans sealed their amphora. Roman amphora were terracotta containers. Once the amphora was complete, the maker then treated the interior with resin that would prevent permeation of stored liquids. Other online sources also reference beeswax, or a combination of resin and wax.
Okay,
So, to me, that was gold. A lot of people in the comments had suggested that I try sealing with pitch. And I always said, pine pitch, that stuff's got to taste terrible. But I haven't tried it, and you really can't knock it till you try it, right? So I thought if they were willing
Results
to put
may
wine
vary, but yeah.
into amphora that were sealed with pine pitch, and it didn't affect the taste of the wine, or did it, right? Then maybe I can try it in a coffee cup. So that's my plan here today. I'm going to seal one with pine pitch
Okay.
and beeswax mixed, just like
So-
the ancient Romans supposedly did. I'm going to seal another one
Got
with
the,
just
like,
beeswax, which was a
coal
common
starch
suggestion in the comments of those
base.
sealing videos. And the third one with that flaxseed oil.
And
And then at the end of the video, I want to take them back to my studio and try drinking hot coffee in them. I want to see if a hot drink will cause that beeswax or that pitch to kind of loosen up and get in my drink and impact the flavor. So that's really the end goal,
have,
is to realize what's a good way to seal and then actually be able to use it without, ingesting your sealant. My fire's starting to burn down now, so I'm going to get those mugs out of there, and while they're still hot, I'm going to start putting that sealant in, because that hot clay is going to absorb that material better.
I kind of want a little bit of texture here. Also, that is way too big. Let's see. Oh, no. It's not really working for what I want. Oh, size, here we are. Oof, that's too small. That's okay, yeah. So, introduce a little bit of light and get the
The difference between these materials is that the wax and the resin are going to harden at room temperature, but that oil is not. And so it's got to kind of be polymerized by heating it up. And so here I am putting it on the coals, all different sizes, try to heat up that oil and make it kind of polymerized. I'm also trying to burn the crud out of that strainer. All right, I got these all fired and sealed. Which one of these do you think you'd drink out of? I mean, you smelled them all when they were being sealed. Which one smelled like something you wouldn't mind your coffee smelling like?
Candle wax?
Candle wax, yeah, okay. So the pine one smelled like pine pitch, not that appetizing, right?
No.
The beeswax smelled just like a hot candle, and the flaxseed oil smelled like linseed oil. So I don't know, linseed oil wasn't terrible, but at the same time it reminded me of like woodworking shop, not necessarily food, right?
That's kind of what I was thinking.
Anyways, we'll take these back home and drink some coffee and see how we do, and then we'll talk a little bit about the successes and failures we had here.
So, yeah. Get some.
All right, back in the studio now. Let's talk about lessons learned, what I could have done differently or better. First of all, I got flammable material all over my welding gloves that I use for firing pottery. I got quite a bit of pitch, oil, and wax on these gloves, so I'm thinking maybe these aren't such a good idea to use for firing pottery after this adventure, because I don't want my gloves to burst into flames. All of those materials are
I
at least
can't
somewhat
imagine
flammable.
why.
Pitch and wax are actually quite flammable. So they were already getting worn out. I've got a hole in them right here that you could literally see my finger through. So they were probably at the end of life already, but it is something to keep in mind that if you're going to be doing this and pouring pitch from one container into another, to maybe have a pair of gloves that you're not using for firing frequently, because like I said, I would be uncomfortable wearing those at a pottery firing after this because of the pitch being on them. The other thing is when I was done coating the inside with the pitch, and the same happened for the wax, I had quite a bit of excess kind of floating around in there in the bottom, and I wanted to set it upside down so that that excess material could drain out of it, right, and just leave the coating. I set it upside down on the sand, and then later when I picked this up, it just had all kinds of gravel and sand just stuck all over the mouth of it. So then I was able to stick it on some rocks over some coals and kind of melt it a little bit, and then I used a stick to get most of that off. But still, there's quite a bit of grit stuck in my pitch here. Now, maybe that would have been the case at any rate because I was firing in a wash bed and there was a lot of sand. But I think it would be good if I had some kind of a surface, even if it's just a piece of plywood or something that I could set this on upside down and not stick it in the dirt or the sand and get crud all over it. Okay, let's talk about sponsorships, right? This video is sponsored by myself. So I'm getting close to 100,000 subscribers. I think at the time of recording this, I'm just over 97,000 subscribers. And I'm getting to the point where I could probably make some money getting sponsors on my videos. The trouble is, I'm really sensitive to just advertising random junk to you guys that I don't need and you don't need either. I really want to advertise something I can believe in and can wholeheartedly endorse for you. And so really the best thing for me to do is to endorse my own products. And so that's why I'm not getting a sponsor. I'm just going to talk a little bit about the classes that I offer. The Ancient Potters Club is a really great way for you to learn more about primitive pottery. We get together every Wednesday night to make pottery together over Zoom. There's a chance there to ask questions, to talk to some other people that are doing the same thing as you. If you are interested in ancient pottery and primitive pottery, and you're interested in growing a little more, the Ancient Potters Club is a much deeper dive than you're going to get on a YouTube video. So you might want to check that out. I'll put the link on the screen and down in the doobly-doo. And then you also will have access to all 4 of those master classes that I have. There's outdoor pottery firing, coil pottery, wild clay, and natural paints, pigments, and slips. So check that out if you're interested in learning more about primitive pottery. Now, let's talk really quick about what I'm going to do to test these. I want to know 2 things. I want to know how well sealed they are, but I also want to know how the material I put in them might influence the flavor of what I might eat or drink out of them. So I'm going to make myself a hot pot of coffee, and then I'm going to fill each one of these up with a measured amount of hot coffee. I'm going to let it sit in there for a certain period of time, and then I'm going to try drinking out of it and see if I can taste the material. I really don't want any of them to add like an oil slick on top of my coffee or any flavor. But then beyond that, I'm going to leave that hot liquid in there for a set period of time, an hour, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to measure it again to see how much has leaked out. And then I can get a relative idea among these 3 sealing techniques which was most effective.
Meh.
5-minute timer. All right, these mugs have had 5 minutes sitting here with a cup of hot coffee in them. Let's see how we're doing. This is the one that was sealed with pine pitch, and it has a noticeable oil slick on the surface, unfortunately. Now, perhaps with continued use, or maybe even after the first use, this would go away. But for now, it's a little troubling because I don't really want to eat pine pitch. But let's take a taste and see. Not noticeably piney, but then again, it is black coffee. You know, it's strongly flavored to start with, so might
noticeably
be a little
piney?
more telling if it was something with a lighter flavor. Now this is
things
the one
been
that
well.
was sealed with
I got
beeswax, and
my
no oil slick.
second stretch of
Does
2
not
days
smell
at my new
waxy.
job, and starting to for tomorrow,
does not taste waxy.
and then I will
No
be
waxy
part-time at
residue in
my
my mouth.
previous job,
That's probably a good sign.
starting next
To
week.
clarify on this beeswax one, I expected to have, you know, like a coating of wax on the inside, and it came out really clean. So I assume most of that wax actually soaked into the body of the pot, which is what I wanted. Okay, and then this is the one that was sealed with linseed oil. And again, a little bit of an oil slick, a little bit of a linseed oil smell, which is, of the 3, actually, you know, the strongest smell. This, like I said, this didn't smell piney. And it smells linseed oily, and that's not a great smell, let me tell you. It is, I might point out, food grade linseed oil. It is safe for human consumption. Just doesn't smell that great. And
But yeah, no, I'm
maybe a tad.
still working on.
Maybe a
I
tad linseed
have
oily. I don't know. It could be, you know. It
need
could
to
be
figure
smell. It
out
could be that I'm
moving
smelling it
and
that's making it,
a bunch of other
my
stuff,
mind
but
think I'm tasting it. I'm going to set another timer for an hour, and then I'm going to come back and see how much
Things
leakage
have
we
been
have.
generally pretty
1
good.
hour timer. All right, I'll see you in an hour.
Our boss changed and had.
Okay, so it's been
Oh,
an hour. Let's look at how well these are
So
holding
okay,
water.
so
I've got my measuring cup.
at my
and
previous
if I can keep
job,
from spilling, I
my
will
boss
carefully pour it back in the
changed,
measuring cup
and so
hopefully get some idea of how well
the
held
new
the
boss
coffee over the
is
past hour.
officially in force starting today.
First of all,
And
there
was
no
not a
damp
very
spot under
positive, like, this
any of
person
these.
is a competent
and none of them are
supervisor
damp on the outside.
vote coming from
This
basically
first one that I
anybody.
just poured out is the one that
However, I
was
did
sealed with
have a
linseed or
interaction
flaxseed oil.
earlier
And it
today
does have
that
some
gave me a little
spots
bit of confidence
on
towards
the
them.
outside that appear to show
But the
dampness,
new job
but they're not
is
damp to the
kitchen.
touch, but,
I
they
work
have
at
discoloration, that indicates some dampness to them. And
German
like I said,
focused
still smells quite linseed oil-y.
restaurant
And
that
it is down,
uses.
it's down by a quarter
It
cup,
used to be
which
owned
seems
by
like
a
lot,
brew house
given that
that
there's
makes
none on the
like
outside. A quarter cup is a
root
lot.
beer, cream soda,
So it
and
literally says
cherry,
3/4 of a cup,
a cherry
and I
soda,
poured a full cup in there.
as well as actual
Okay,
beers.
the next one was sealed with beeswax.
And
Let's see how that one does.
they have since sold and they're still
That
affiliated
has
with the
significantly
brew
more.
house. They're
It is
just
down a
not,
tiny bit
or the
from
brewer.
cup,
They're just not
but
owned by the brewer.
less than an eighth of a cup, I would say that it's.
But
down.
I started
It
as
held
a
much
cook.
Better.
Um,
It doesn't have any of those discolored
So, yeah.
spots on it like the other one did that indicated dampness.
and
There's
one
no
of
dampness at
the
all on the outside that you
one of
can
the other
feel.
cooks was a
There's no
regular
smell to it.
at the gas
I would
station I
say
worked at.
that was pretty good. That was a pretty
So,
good seal.
that's how I
just from one coat. Now I would point out that perhaps the oil needs more than one coat. From my past experience with sealing,
Got that.
I found that sometimes sealing with oil requires multiple coats. So it might be wise to give this a coat of that flaxseed oil, put it in a warm place, let it kind of soak it up, give it another coat, let it soak it up, and to be fair, this was one coat. So perhaps more would be needed. But you have to say, the wax works pretty good. There's not a lot of time invested putting different coats on. This was one coat, one and done, and it
Okay.
seems to have been fairly effective. Okay, let's look at the one that was sealed with pine pitch. This one has done the best of all. This is almost the complete one cup that I put in it. If it's down any, it could be like a tenth of a cup, something like that. Certainly not much. And again, I'm noticing that oil slick right on the surface of this measuring cup. So there is a definite problem with oil slicks, but as far as a sealing method, it sealed it. It sealed it well. It doesn't feel like there's any moisture on the outside of this, no residues that I can see. It feels very dry to the touch
That's cool.
all the way around. Looks like it worked really
but
well.
I'm basically
No smell, and as I said earlier,
salads
no piney
and
taste.
fryer.
So perhaps this could be cleaned out. Perhaps the oily residue can be
So,
cleaned out, rinsed away,
And
cup that will
random
hold
prep
liquids
items
for
when
a
we're
long period of time.
downtime. But
I would
it
say if
free
I had to
meal
choose one of
wi-
these,
is always
I'd go with
nice,
the beeswax or the
especially
pine
when
pitch any day of the week.
you're
Those
working
are
at a
both
place that makes
among
fucking
the
good
best
food.
sealants that I've tried so far. The ability to
Get a
seal
nice
your
big,
earthenware is a great
like,
advantage.
their
Opening
fried
up all
chicken,
kinds of
or
possibilities for your homemade
hot chicken
earthenware
sandwich
pottery.
is
remember,
really good.
Sealing isn't always necessary. In some cases, that porous ceramic can be an actual advantage. For example,
Oh,
here in
yeah.
the American Southwest, there's a long history of using porous earthenware to keep water cool by evaporation. I made a video last summer all about the use of Oyas in the Southwest for keeping water cool. I'll link that video up right over here, so go check that
I'll
out
probably-
and learn about another
It'll be
use
a
for
kind of
earthenware
short
that
stream
is
since
unsealed. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time. Oh man, you gotta love those motorcycles, don't you?
Oh,
The little
that's
light
super
is here,
gross.
but where's that? I don't see it now. Where's that stupid light?
It's up.
All right. Oh, I
Is
love this
working?
chick.
Okay, now what? Hey Best Pally, I'm Allie, and Jack Black just put out a fantastically weird song, but it's only his voice and piano, and I feel like it could be way peachier if I gave it an EDM remix. Let's go! Right now, as I'm filming this, everyone is at Coachella, and I'm not cool enough to attend, let alone make music as cool as the DJs performing there, but that's not gonna stop me from trying. I have a feeling Peaches would be incredible if it was remixed by Marshmello or Kygo or Zed or Chainsmokers or David Guetta or Calvin Harris. And I'm reading off of this because I have a very specific list. In this video, I'm going to attempt to use something from all of those artists in one remix, and all of them make such impeccable, pristine, luscious arrangements that I'm setting myself up to fail 6 times. But it's not like I have anything cooler to do this weekend, so let's try. Let's start by hearing Jack's version. He's so cool. Oh, he just said it. It reminds me of Elton John if he was an insane person. Oh, the screaming. I'm gonna take just his sing.
I love him.
It's still so good a cappella. This whole song is just made by the fact that it's Jack Black. Now his songwriting here is interesting, especially the chord progression. It's the exact same key and chord progression as Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. Some people have speculated that Jack Black is subtly Rick-rolling us with his songwriting. Okay, let's dive right in. The first artist that I want to sound like is Kygo, and this song is transcendent.
Okay, so I thought it was glass.
Oh,
No, it's glaze.
I don't know how I'm gonna do this. It makes me want to tear up when I hear it. It's that well done. Okay, let's go. Okay, I've got this island synth thump sound. We got 4 on the floor kicks, a hi-hat going, some snaps. I think some piano in there too. Is that working? Okay. It's probably just working because Jack's voice is incredible. Okay, here I want to already pull it back. We're cramming a lot into this song, but a lot of EDM is about this push and pull, this build and then drop. I got a lot of these transition sounds to help me come out of stuff and build up. It's like weird noise, but it really helps things feel like clarity. Like that. So now that we brought it back, let's build it up. What else does Kygo do? I don't know if I'm freaking out because the song's so good or because this is an impossible challenge. He has some rhythmic synths that feel like they're bouncing. Okay, to do this, I've got 3 different synths. That, and then that.
Yeah.
And then
No.
echoey version of that. And then 4 on the floor while we bounce around on them. I just want to point out that I've done
I'm
this
just saying that
weird
sounds like an
bouncy
80s
synth
song.
on 4 on the floor style before when I did the style of Aqua. This is basically Kygo with less of a delicate production, and also it's the 90s. I honestly think that he would not be insulted that I'm comparing him to them right now. Okay, what else is he doing?
I have to wait a lot. Hours, please.
Is that Tom's?
Dead 90s car somewhere.
Wait, that's definitely marching snare too. Wait, is this working? Okay. Now what? Seems my light has shifted. Let's make some adjustments here so you can see me. It's already taken forever and I'm still on one artist. Let's move on. We're doing Zed now. Since I'm using Jack's original vocals, I want them to be all screwed up because, you know, I'm a DJ. It's what I do. So he's vocoding, I think. He's changing the pitch that she's singing, but it's just her voice and harmonized, and it sounds so freaking cool. He does these vocoded vocals in other songs. You can see it here. Look, that's him on the mic right there. Also this song. Ugh. If Goosebumps had a sound, it would be that. Like, all of this EDM stuff isn't just a sound, it's a feel, you know? You feel their mixes. Okay, I chopped up his vocals and have a bunch of versions, and I changed the pitch. That's Jack Black's voice, but it sounds super synthesized. Here's him way low. It's so weird. Let me play all these harmonies together with the original. Okay, I also added a little echo there. I feel like I'm Zedding, okay. The chorus is next, and we need a drop. So, time to switch artists. I'm going with Chainsmokers, because they have some drops. Building up. If we went to the same
Okay,
high
so-
school, those dudes wouldn't even have known I existed. Anyway, what I want from this is a lot of things, but let's specifically talk about the pop, the drip pop. That snare is just so EDM, bro. And we need more light, please. A jillion years later, I have some drip pop options. Now we have a build to the drop.
Okay, so this is...
And no drop. I've also discovered that Zed uses that pop drip sound too throughout his chorus. Also, I keep talking about this push and pull throughout the song, but it's also on a smaller level within each measure. There's a pop drip again, and that pulsing. I'm gonna try and get that with multiple kicks. Wait, how am I back on Zed again? I need a new artist. Who's next? Who's next? David Guetta. Okay. That bass is buzzing. It reminds me of Skrillex. It's like old school dubstep almost. Let's just put that in, I guess. Okay, just putting that in involved the 3 different synths again on top of each other layered. This. Oh, it's growling. That is a weird, angry alien robot. And then this kind of fake brass feel. And then a dubstep alarm-ish. Put all that mess together and we have Jack's chorus. Like, what is he doing? It's like he's trolling us. He's like, you want lyrics? Watch this. I'm gonna say peaches. And I'm gonna say peaches faster. It is the best and worst part of this song. What are you doing, Jack? Wait, when you take it out...
Oh, hello. How are you doing, Arcadia?
I sound like a DJ. What? And am I proud of how this is going? I mean, there's still a lot to go, and also it is later now. I've been here for quite a while. Okay, the solution to deal with Jack's lyrical songwriting genius is to maybe take some EDM bro liberties and just chop him all up. Excuse me, sir. I bumped my keyboard and it EDM farted. So here Zed does this. Like, clearly Alessia Cara sung something, and then he just completely transformed it. Same thing with this song. There's that vocal line, then here's what he does with it.
Okay.
Just absolutely chopped and screwed. Okay,
that is
successfully
good.
chopped up this peach. So now we have... And I love that second part of the chorus because I love that part. Him screaming is so good. Ugh, how did I get on Zed again? A new artist. Still have 2 more. Okay, Calvin Harris.
I love her so much.
Great.
Wait, let's pause that for a moment. All right, so basically, like, it's supposed to have 10 tentacles, and I kind of need to, like, meld this color-wise, which is going to be an experience. Yeah. I is doing good. Work's been weird and kind of stressful because boss change and I got a new job, and the new job has been really cheese because it's just been a lot of basic kitchenery things. Like, here, make a salad. Oh, I do, however, have a very strong stance that I have suddenly gained. A wedge salad is not a salad. It's a head of lettuce. You fucking rabbit.
Guitar sounding synth. I'm gonna use that to highlight the vocal line that I love from Jack. Almost out of song. One more. Cram in marshmallow at the end of the chorus.
How you make a wedge salad? You cut a head of lettuce in half.
EDM songs. The synth is the star for the chorus.
If it's still too big, you cut it in half again, and you use that half.
Absolutely the lead singer there.
So you cut it in half, and then, like, if it's...
So we'll just cut out Jack's second round of peaches. I can't even see what I'm doing anymore. It is very night. I haven't even gotten up.
But yeah, but do you literally just take an entire head of lettuce, cut it in half? If the two halves together are too big, you set one aside, cut the other one in half, and then you take that, and then you put those together, and for work you put blue cheese dressing on them. Cut some some cherry tomatoes, and put those with their flat side into the dressing so they stick. Cut some spring onions, only put the green part, and like you do it like chives. And then you also put you put, I think it was walnuts on it. And yeah, it's just like, this is not a salad. This is a wedge of lettuce. It's like a deconstructed sandwich. You mean a sandwich without the second slice of bread?
I can't believe this is working. Honestly, I feel.
Yeah, no.
I
like,
know.
That is not a salad. You can try and argue it all day, but that's just a head of lettuce. I haven't finished cutting up.
I'm as baffled as you are. Wait, one more thing. I forgot I wanted to do this. You know the chord progression? Yes, you, full video pally that saw this part, is gonna know
that's
it's
cool.
coming, and everybody who skips to the end and only watches the music video is gonna get rickrolled. Okay, this is what the full mix looks like. I can almost put it on screen for you, and I am pleased with it. I am astounded that it turned out, and I'm so proud. I have not moved from this seat for 11 hours, but let that be a lesson to you that being cool seems like, nonchalant and not caring and effortless, but also you can become cool by trying entirely too hard for entirely too long.
Well,
It's time to try too hard to look.
The core issue of why I would say it's not a salad is because you cut the lettuce into half or quarters, and then you just set that in the bowl. That is the end of your activity with the lettuce. So you've got like potentially an entire head of lettuce in this bowl that has been cut in half, and that's it. For it to be a salad, there needs to be some kind of a mixture going on. There is no mixture. It's at best an ice cream sundae where you decided to give up and instead went with lettuce instead of ice cream. So I will give you, it's a lettuce sundae. Like, I don't have a problem with people ordering it. I do think it's fucking weird. Just because I shouldn't if I'm eating a salad, I don't want to cut my lettuce. Like, it should be forkable. And I don't know if most people have seen a head of lettuce, and like a quarter of the outside of the largest leaf is not a forkable amount. Like, my parents would straight up just say, "What the fuck are you doing?" if I ate that in front of them. Yeah. So, personally, like, I can respect like inch-sized pieces of lettuce in a salad, but I do prefer like julienning the lettuce. So you take the head and you basically cut it as thick as you would like the small carrot sticks. Or like if you're trying to cut onions and you're dicing up onions, when you get that smaller width, or just like if you go to Taco Bell, you get lettuce in your in your food. It's usually really thin. That's what I'm talking about. So this is the general. What is a space walrus? I a wireless. I need to figure out what's going on with these because like. So there's supposed to be 10 of them, which I don't know. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12? So I'm a little big on the numbers here. And it's very difficult to figure out how to do this right. Because I'm like trying to conceptualize something that requires a scientific answer, and my brain's just not getting that scientific answer, even though like I can mentally conceptualize it, I just can't export it into the real world. Okay, let's see. Okay, so trim off that one. And let's see. Can I kind of weld the two together? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 8, 9, 10. So, the gist of the Warless is that its tentacles on the back meld into the actual back of the body to form the classic walrus form when it's trying to hide the fact that it's a Warless. And they basically just look like they're normal walrus body parts. It just replaces the butt. Okay. The feet are kind of raw. Ugh. Meh. Meh. Yeah, so walrus feet are weird. Because walrus are really weird because one of the, like, strange body type things they have is they are mammals in, like, the most pure sense. Um, like, even more so than a porpoise. Um, like, technically, these should probably come off of about here. So walrus's um spine is like they basically just have a really long spine and really short legs. And it just like looking at their skeleton is rather funny to me. Wait, okay.
They're cool in a music
Finish
video.
this off. Such a fucking weirdo.
Princess Peach. Peach, you're so cool. And with my style, we're gonna rule. Peach, understand. I'm going to love you till the very end. Peaches.
I'm just saying, but what she just did with that headset, that made me hurt on the inside.
Princess Peach at the end of the line. I'll make you mine. Oh, peaches. I love you.
Time to get some more. That's good. Ah. Don't worry about it. You'll be everything will be
If you
fine.
want the song, there's a link to download in the description. And as a bonus, you get to join my Patreon Pally team and be the reason I can make outrageous music like this. And that Aqua video I mentioned is down there. You're probably gonna like it. Yes!
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah.
Everything I wanted. Hey, Miss Pally, I'm Allie, and I...
Also, that woman is fucking ripped, and I want one. So, I recently found out about a character from the She-Ra series that made me go, wait, that was a character? Now I'm mad that I didn't watch the show. And that character was Entrapta. Because, holy cow, that woman is a fucking nerd.
This is a dangerous bean. I know from experience, and I'll tell you how, but first. Hello, friends, and not yet friends. Today we turn lupini beans into tofu. For anyone new to the channel and this series, I'm taking non-soy ingredients one at a time and applying the traditional method of making tofu. The first step is always soaking the dried beans, since at home we're generally going to be working with store-bought dried beans. But this ancient bean contains bitter alkaloids, which are toxic. So we can't just soak them overnight and away we go like the typical tofu making method. These must be soaked and drained multiple times a day for several days, and of course, like all beans, cooked before eating. At least according to the set of directions I decided to follow. I soaked these beans
am I?
and
Am I?
changed the water twice daily for 7 days. Then tasted for bitterness as instructed.
I just like my tomboys.
Oh, sick. My friends, it was the worst day of my life. My head hurts and my stomach clenches at just the memory of that overwhelming bitterness flooding my mouth and sticking around even as I desperately rinsed over and over. Still, it could have been worse. People have gone to the hospital over this bean. Some people have even died. I mean, I almost died for you guys, so at least you can do is give me a thumbs up, right? There's another method that calls for boiling the beans first, but my experience with trying to make tofu from cooked beans told me I needed to follow this original method first. Give this tofu the best chance of success. So I continued to soak and drain every day for a month. Nothing I read said you needed that long, but I was not taking any chances, my friends. In fact, after a month,
I honestly
the
am
memory of
confused
the
as hell
bitterness
as to what you're
was
saying.
still so fresh that I didn't want to go on. So now is a great time to thank the people responsible for bringing this video to you. That is everyone who kept requesting that I make this lupini tofu. Seriously, I considered canning the experiment, but I pressed on. For you. Actually, I chickened out on trying it after a month and continued the soak and drain for another month, bringing our total time to 2.5 months until I was finally brave enough for another bite. No bitterness. That's good. After draining, we have about 1 kilogram of soaked lupini beans. That's from a starting weight of 1 pound or 454
I'm just saying, this
grams
is
of dried
officially.
beans. Anyways, because the skins on the lupini beans are so thick and not really meant to be eaten, I'm removing them first. The beans are actually pretty easy to squeeze out.
That sounds disgusting.
But halfway through, my fingers are getting raisiny and tired, so I switched to using a knife to nick the edge, and that makes it so much easier. Honestly, this is not as tedious as it looks. It's kind of fun. And now we have 668 grams of shelled raw lupini beans and this heaping bowl of bean skins. Those will go directly into compost. The shelled beans go into my blender, half at a time so that I can double the amount of water. No exact measurements needed. We're just going to blend it for 20 to 30 seconds on high in the Vitamix to really break down those beans and free up the protein. Then pour into a good quality nut milk bag. And same with the rest of the beans.
A frothy soup.
Then we squeeze to extract the protein-rich milk while keeping the fibrous pulp in the bag. If this isn't the happiest color of plant-based milk ever, I don't know what is. It's just gorgeous. Afterwards, the pulp is as dry as I can get it, and quite fluffy looking. This is very different from soy pulp, also known as okara. It's so unique, I'll set it aside to experiment with later. For now, I will let this bright yellow milk settle, so hopefully the starch will sink to the bottom as we did with
Very
fava
suspect.
bean and red lentil milk before. After 20 minutes, the
that's
layers
too
don't
big.
seem to be
That's
settling
why it
out
was-
like the other milks we've tried. It's watery on top, and this seems to be the creamy, milky, protein-rich layer. However, I'm not seeing a distinct layer of starch at the bottom that we could separate out easily. So since we have to move along, I'll pour this slowly into the cooking pot. Time to cook, so I'll turn on the heat under the pot and get a few other things ready. First, my favorite tofu press. It comes with a cheesecloth for tofu making, but today I'm actually using a larger cloth that I bought separately, just because the other one is still drying after another experiment. I'm also preparing my coagulant. For a pound of beans, I typically prepare a tablespoon of food-grade gypsum, aka calcium sulfate, with a cup of room temperature or slightly warmer water. But I seem to be running out. Luckily, I have other coagulants on hand. Nagari, aka magnesium chloride, is often used in Japanese tofu, and I also have Epsom salts, aka magnesium sulfate. I might not need them today, but I'll keep them nearby. Finally, I also like to have my handy dandy laser thermometer, just so I can report to you the temperature as we go along.
Okay,
You don't really need one
I'm
to make tofu. But you will need a spatula.
I'm looking for
preferably
whatever
one that
dungeon
has a
you're going to
flat
be the
edge like
master of.
this to stir down the bottom of the pot and prevent the protein-rich milk from burning as we heat it up. We do need to cook this milk thoroughly, same as any bean-based milk, before it's safe for consumption. I know I love to say that there are no rules, but in this case, there is like a rule. But it just means taking this to a simmer and letting it simmer for about 5 to 10 minutes. Then it's ready to try to coagulate. So I'll check the temperature one last time. I want it to be about 180 to 185 degrees Fahrenheit. And stir up the gypsum and water mixture as it will have settled, and slowly pour in about half into the milk while continuing to stir. I want it to be thoroughly combined. Then pop on the lid, wait 5 minutes, and the coagulant will do its thing. Afterwards, you can see clouds of fine curds, not large ones like we see when we make soy tofu, so it may just be that we need more coagulant. In goes another half of the coagulant, using up the power of 2 teaspoons of calcium sulfate. And we will wait another 15 minutes. But this time, I want to make sure that the temperature does not drop below 160 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the typical temperature for soy coagulation.
Thank you for coming along, Arcadia.
If it's not warm enough, we're not
have a
giving
good
it the
night.
best chance to coagulate. So if the
I'm not
temperature
going to be
does
around
drop,
much
I'll
longer
just
either,
turn
so
the heat back on,
that works out.
low to keep it warm.
Uh,
Moment of truth.
I had.
After those efforts, it's
I have
not
work at
looking
11,
great,
so I
my
want to make sure
friends.
I get some stuff done
So
that I
as
have
a
to do in the
last
morning.
effort, I add a teaspoon of nagari. Some commercial tofu makers use both in their tofu, so this isn't completely unusual. However, after keeping the heat on low, 15 minutes later, there doesn't seem to be much change. Still, we know from the fine curds we got in our red lentil tofu experiment and our previous peanut tofu experiment, we can still make tofu or something else good out of it. So let's get the curds strained. I don't really want to taste this, but I will for you. All right, my friends. Last step. This is probably hopeless. Most likely hopeless. This looks worse than the sunflower tofu, which was not even that bad now that I think back on it. I think I was really too harsh on the sunflower seeds. But come on. This looks pathetic. This is horrible. We really have a beautiful, bright yellow color. This reminds me of the hotel scene from Last of Us. First or was it the second episode? I don't remember. Okay, I'm gonna get a rubber spatula and scrape down the sides. It looks like oil paint. Maybe if this doesn't work as food, we'll make some sort of art project. I mean, it's disgusting or it's beautiful. You can think of it one way or the other. It's up to you. My gosh. I really expected better. Right. Let's put this in the fridge and see what happens tomorrow. Since that way was so bitter, I am going to go in and taste the Sokara because I don't really want to keep this pulp around if it's like totally inedible. I don't want to
waste time or effort or energy. So I am going to taste this. I'm going to put some in the microwave to cook it through. I'm scared. It just tastes like beans. No, but wait, no. Only this is a million times worse. It's straight poison, guys. My stomach hurts. I feel like I have a headache coming on. So if this video never makes it up, you guys know why. I mean, then you wouldn't know why. Never mind. I'm delirious, clearly. Okay. Well, in conclusion, I'm very scared to taste the tofu tomorrow. It probably is going to be straight up poison. Am I going to be eating poison just for YouTube? Let's see if I live till tomorrow morning. We'll find out. You'll find out in 2 seconds. All right, friends, I don't really want to do this, but we're doing it. Oh, dear. Oh, it's buttery. Oh, here we go. It's cracking already. All right, my friends. I'm pretty scared to do this, but I'm going to do this for you. I have no intention of swallowing. All right, so I didn't really get bitter out of that, but I don't know if I chewed it long enough to get that bitter flavor, because if you recall with the pulp, it took like a few seconds. And so I'm scared of this. I feel like I should try again with the boiling method of debittering the lupini bean, because people out there eat those beans. I must have just done it wrong. And even though you get very little product out of this, it's very interesting texture. I think it would be really useful. Like, look at that.
It's like butter.
If I could find sweet lupini beans, wouldn't that be something? Like, I feel like there's so much potential here. Look at that. It's awesome. Look at that wonderful texture. I love it.
It's like butter.
Well,
but not. Oh, God.
A lot of people love Southern food, and why wouldn't they? It's the best. But loving Southern food and knowing how to cook Southern food are two very different things. It's a lot like having a deep appreciation for art versus actually being an artist. Except in this scenario, the art is deep fried and covered with gravy, and the artist is wearing a polka dot apron with a chicken on it. So what's the secret that makes Southern food so much better than the rest? Wonder no more, because in this video, I'm gonna teach you 4 tips on how to cook like a Southerner. You're welcome. Tip number 1, recipes
apply butter.
are for the weak. That's right. Throw them out. Throw out your cookbooks, throw out your allrecipes.com account. You don't need any of it. The only recipes worth a lick are the ones that are passed from generation to generation. Granny's old recipe cards. But even those are basically unusable.
Oh, that's some hot sauce there you're throwing around.
Granny had the handwriting of a serial killer. I love you, Granny. And even then, it's more of a guideline than a rule. Down here, we cook by feeling, also known as love, which is why we use a different system of measurements. Now, you've heard of milliliters and grams and cups and tablespoons, but we use a Southern system of measurement. A dash, a pinch, a smidgen, a touch, and a heapin' helpin', also known as a good amount. But how do I know how much that is, you ask? You'll know. Trust me. If someone says add a good amount of butter, add a good amount. Hint, there's no such thing as too much, but there is such a thing as too little. And the Southern system applies to cooking times as well. Bake it in a hot oven until it's done. I can't be any more clear than that. Bake until done. What more do you want? Tip number 2, 3 building blocks of Southern cooking. All the fancy schmancy cooking conservatories in France or wherever are going to tell you that the trinity of cooking is onions, carrots, and celery. Louisiana has its own version that they call the Holy Trinity, where they swap out the carrots for bell peppers, and obviously they are no slouches when it comes to food. But the real secret to Southern cooking is what I like to call the heavenly trifecta, TM. Also known as the 3 B's: butter, bacon, batter. Every great Southern recipe has one or more of these things.
Okay. the mirepoix is I actually think it's not French originally, or is not the base where it comes from. It is based to a lot of French of the French cooking, but if I remember right, the actual like use of those three ingredients isn't French in origin. But yeah,
Things in it. And the more you
it is the
have,
core of
the
French,
more I
or
guarantee
a lot
you
of.
can be taking home an empty dish from the potluck. Why? Why not? I'm not a scientist, but butter makes the world go round, and bacon gives things that savory goodness. And batter, what isn't made better by covering something in batter and then deep frying it to high holy heaven? Go ahead.
Even
Try
butter.
and stump me. I bet you can.
Potato bread is like choice. Um, I grew up with heavily inspired German food, and uh, like sauerkraut, and bratwurst, and just beef and noodles, and just delicious shit. Anyways, so and then corn's fucking everywhere. So like there's a sweet corn festival that I went to for one year and got an enormous tomahawk and terrorized my family with. Potto veggies. Yeah. Mixed veggies plus a stick of butter and salt and pepper, and that's pretty much all you need for that. But yeah, chili has a very specific texture, and it drives me nut. Or for me, chili has a very specific texture, and every time I find somebody saying, "Hey, I got this chili," and it's like watery soup, I just want to scream. Yeah, like for beef stew, for instance, like you get beef stew out of a can. That that's like the thickness I'm expecting for my like you get the ones where it's like basically a gravy. That's what I'm talking about when I mean like that's the texture uh chili should be. Um Beef stew, like it should be like a thicker gravy in consistency is like preferred. Yeah, no, no, I'm just providing perspective or clarifications on specific things that I'm saying. But yeah, no. Good beef stew is delicious. What? Okay, so beef stew would be beef, potatoes, corn, or no, not corn, carrots. That's what I'm trying to say. And onions. And like it's very simple. But how you cook those things matters a ton. It's like making a good chili. How you cook the chili matters a lot. Also, you're supposed to put the whole bottle of chili powder in it. Okay, well that's the terrible mashed potatoes is 100% a subjective sentence because depending on what you're like if you're making mashed potatoes with water and maybe like if you make it with water and the instructions on the back of the box kind of mashed potatoes, that's just nasty. Yeah, like real mashed potatoes, like you boil them, you mash them, and you toss in a little bit of milk, some butter, and salt and pepper, and get something nice and tasty. Maybe some garlic, depending on if you're feeling spicy. Yeah, you're from that. You're from that. From Idaho, the corn state. I mean, yes, but you just need some kind of cream in it. Is the big thing, which both those fill that situation.
Honorable mention goes to the fourth B, that D'Artagnan to the other three mouth-watering musketeers, breadcrumbs. Tip number 3, everything's better with meat. I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. It doesn't matter what you're making. You want to elevate it higher than Aunt Bessie's hair on an Easter Sunday? Put some meat in it. That's right, meat ain't just the star of the show, it is the whole show. We put meat in everything. It's why vegetarians and vegans have to be extra careful when they're in line of the local meat and 3, because even our vegetables are enhanced with the salty, savory flavor of protein. In fact, it's often not even considered a vegetable dish unless it has some meat in it. Baked beans and green beans, put a little bacon in there. Collard greens, sneak a little ham in. Macaroni and cheese, which despite everything you think you might know, is actually considered a vegetable. Okay, it's good on its own, but I wouldn't be mad if I found some bacon or pulled pork in it. Heck, even if you don't have actual meat, any decent Southerner has saved every ounce of bacon grease in a coffee can or a mason jar. Just use that, either in your dish or to season your well-used, never been in a dishwasher cast iron skillet. Bacon,
Yeah.
like the strips of heavy
I will
meat comes
sacrifice
from,
someone that
is
puts my
basically a
pan in a
universal
dishwasher.
ingredient. It's so versatile, it might even have medicinal properties. But don't quote me on that. Tip number 4, when in doubt, make a casserole. Look, down here, you gotta be prepared to feed a small army of people at all times. And what better way to do that than with a 9 by 13 inch dish full of goodness? A casserole is defined as 1, a dish in which food may be baked and served, and 2, food that is baked and served in a casserole dish. And that's it. It's vague on purpose, because with casseroles, anything goes. And we Southerners have perfected the art of just throwing stuff in a dish and baking it to perfection.
Okay,
Seriously, it's that easy. You take
I have one complaint about that sentence. That is very much a Midwest thing. There are casseroles they've never heard of that are Midwest normal things.
In your fridge or pantry, you throw it in a casserole, you add some butter, some bacon, some cream of mushroom if you're feeling crazy, you top it with cheese and breadcrumbs, or crushed up crackers, and you'll be the talk of the church potluck for weeks. Everyone will be asking you for the recipe, and even if you don't remember what you did, it's fine. Just grab some stained note card and scribble down vague instructions, and so that's why they did that. And here's a little bonus tip, number 5. Feeling extra lazy and don't want to bake? No problem. Put it in the fridge and call it a salad. Because in the South, the only difference between the casserole and a salad is that one is hot and the other's cold. Just because it's got salad in the name doesn't mean it has to be sad and full of lettuce. We consider it a challenge to see how many calories we can pack into a salad. Favorites include macaroni salad and potato salad. But even if you're just combining a bunch of random things, just pick 2 of the ingredients and add the word salad at the end. Apple bacon salad. And yes, fried chicken and mac and cheese salad is probably a real thing. Somewhere. And there you have it. Follow these tips and you are well on your way to becoming an amazing Southern cook. I mean, is that all? Of course not. But I can't give away all of our secrets for free. We didn't even touch desserts. Don't get me wrong, I would love to tell you all about how we make our delicious puddings and pies, but it's lunchtime, and I'm hungry. Okay, fine. Just swap out the bacon for more butter and then add some sugar and throw some vanilla wafers on top. Happy?
Wait, I'm
Hello,
confused.
I'm Talia from
You don't swap out the bacon, you keep the bacon.
It's a Southern thing. If you liked this video, then you should click here to subscribe. But then click here to watch more videos. And then click here to subscribe to the channel. And then click here to watch more of our funny videos. And click here to...
Okay, so chicken and dumpling soup is fucking amazing. And like canned stuff makes me so sad. Like a lot of canned foods just make me sad because they are so bad in comparison to just getting whatever it is fresh. But fresh requires effort and brain and willingness to cook for somebody, which cooking for myself is disappointing. I mean, it's okay. Like a good just roast is like that. Roast makes me really happy and chilly. But other than that, like turkey's my favorite meat. And I unfortunately can't don't get getting good turkey is like the biggest pain in the ass. Because you either have to cook it yourself or you go to like a Ren fair or something. Yeah, bison and boar are kind of tough. Recently, I got some jerky showed up. Oh, actually, I can get ground bison pretty reliably. And then I think there's a butchery that I might be able to get actual bison cuts rather reasonably. I don't know about boar though, because boar's not really in my region. Honestly, I don't know. It's one of those like everybody talks about it, but I don't think it's farmed that well. I don't know. That would be the thing that makes the most sense.
Hey Optimancers, Chris here. So, Playtest Packet 5 for the 2024 Player's Handbook is the largest Unearthed Arcana release so far. And as far as I know, I think it's the largest Unearthed Arcana ever. 50 pages of content. I normally follow up a new playtest packet with a video where I cover all of the rules changes within it. And then I make some videos where I dive into the various parts of the playtest and I analyze them more closely. But with this chunky boy right here, there is no way I'm making a video where I cover every change. So in this video, I'm going to cover every change that isn't a spell or a class. I will have another video for every individual class, and that'll be 5 more videos. And when I cover the spellcasting classes, I'll also cover the spells associated with those classes. So I will eventually cover everything, but just one time. So in this video, I'm going to be covering the rules glossary, adventuring gear, feats, and weapons, including the big one, weapon mastery. Covering weapon mastery will
More or
be
less the
imperative
answer
for my
is
next
because
video, where
salmon.
I'm going to be covering the fighter. So after playtest packet 4,
There's
I had
other
some
answers,
concerns
but basically, like, why fight trout? Or if trout's becoming difficult and salmon's easy, why fight and just go with salmon? And then, like, I mean, you've had salmon fish or catfish fish, like at a fish fry, right? No, you're thinking about it wrong. It's not like it's hard to come by. It's just like there are so many food items that are not popular just because they're not publicized well, or there's like some really weird archaic reason that it makes it more difficult to acquire than this other ingredient. So the other ingredient wins. It's like, does it cost 13 cents per pound or does it cost 11 cents per pound? Well, guess we're not having trout. Really? Oh, I grew up with like catfish was the thing that I grew up with because I grew up near the Mississippi, and then the place in a little bit sad I had to skip out on it, but there's apparently a really good catfish restaurant in Florida. And it was either go to that or go to the place that has ice cream in a kitchen sink for my birthday. And so I picked to go to the place with the kitchen sink. But yeah, you're still in the same area that I heard about last, right? In the area of the school. Ordering food.
mechanics like wild shape.
So,
but
like,
I had a much greater overarching concern.
It's either in Orlando area or it's in
final comments, and
closer to like Fort Lauderdale, Hollywood.
I was allowed to use.
Are the two restaurants that I was talking about.
Revealed a real danger to the concept of class identity. Now, the design team has demonstrated that they respond to feedback again and again.
Like, it's been a few years since I was down there, so...
My biggest takeaway from this entire 50-page document is that there is a clear focus from the design team to restore and, in several cases, enhance class identity. Much more than the previous playtest, and even more than the current edition we're playing. So... although obviously there's going to be some stuff in a 50-page rules draft that I don't like, this overall change to focus I really appreciate. And as I read this for the first time yesterday, I just got more and more giddy as I went through it. And I am excited to show you what's in here because it's like I have a new toy and I can't wait to show it off. However, we've got rules glossary to go through, adventuring gear to go through. I want to cover them because there are changes, but they aren't all that exciting, so I'm going to get them out of the way first. So they give us this change log right here. that tells us what entries are new, which entries are revised, and which entries are removed. I have been burned by the changelog before, so here's what I did. I pulled up the last playtest, and then I went through every entry and compared them word for word with this playtest to discover even the most minor changes. That was just as much fun as you think it was. I'll tell you, I wasn't all that giddy after that, but I do think I can safely say that I have a comprehensive listing of what's new, what's changed, and what's gone. I'll start though with a few really itty-bitty changes that aren't really significant, but I found them, so here they are. Knocking out a creature used to be called knocking a creature out. Otherwise it's the same. Long and short rests. So they like to sneak changes into the rest rules, but in this one, functionally they're the same. The only difference is that they used to refer to cantrips as 0-level spells. They're now back to referring to them as cantrips, but other than that, no changes. Here are the more significant changes. The influence action has changed. So they've inserted the words that I have highlighted on your screen. The DM determines when this action is available. They also have made another change. So it used to say the minimum DC was 15, or the creature's intelligence score, whichever is higher. Now it says the DM sets the DC of the check, but a check of 15 or the creature's intelligence or
this
wisdom
is about as
score,
far
if
as I
they're
can
higher, is a good rule of thumb.
mentally
So
get to
basically,
tonight.
there's more clarification that the DM is ultimately the one who decides when this can be used and how hard it will be. But if you are a DM, here's some tools to help you. And that is actually one of my chief complaints about 5th edition. Lots of stuff where the DM is supposed to be making rulings, but the rules don't provide the DM
Oh,
any
no.
tools
It's
in
not
order to
you.
make-
It's just my brain and figuring out what to do with. I'm not good with abstract, or abstract's not the right word. I can use a bunch of words to describe a thing, but I actually like creating from nothing, as well as I just do not have the knowledge of how to use Krita to achieve what I want in a way that I want. And so I it's like I've got the rough idea here, but I'm completely lost in manifesting it better, which is fine.
make those rulings. So when I see stuff like this where the DM is getting tools to help them, this is a good thing. More of this. There's also been a change to the attack action.
It's on you.
And the glossary summary didn't mention this. Specifically, the part for equipping and unequipping weapons has changed.
If my
the previous
curiosity
version
gets
said
the best
you can
of me,
equip
then
or unequip one weapon before or after each attack you make as part of this action. Here we have more clear wording. You can either equip or unequip one weapon
curiosity
when you make
killed
an
the cat.
attack as part of this action. You do so either before or after the attack. If you equip a weapon before an attack, you don't need to use it for that attack. And they've maintained here as well that dropping a weapon counts as unequipped.
Curiosity killed the cat.
So this is good. We have
I am
some
not a
weapon
cat.
juggling allowed, but there are some specific, reasonable restrictions. True sight has changed. Not in a huge way, but I figured significant enough to mention. So the old entry said that visual illusions were noticed and that the creature with true sight automatically made saving throws against them. They've changed the part about noticing them to the illusions appearing transparent. So illusions won't block the line of sight of a creature with true sight. Good change. And then there's some stuff that
I
been
am
removed.
debating
So the artisan's
on
tools entry,
doing
the gaming sets, and
readings.
musical instruments were removed. Those entries were just standardized prices. So
which
every artisan's tool was 15 gold pieces. Every gaming set was 1 gold piece.
Based
and
off
every
of
musical
the
instrument was 20
comments
gold
I've
pieces.
gotten about
Those
my
entries are gone.
air quote
So you can
DM
use the original
voice.
prices in the 2014 Player's Handbook. The entry that made the short sword
I
a
think
simple
that
weapon
will do
is
well.
removed, and it's back to being a martial weapon on the new weapon chart. The light weapon property has been removed from the glossary, and it's been moved to the weapon
have
section. This was not mentioned
a
in the
thing that I
changelog, but it
think
was
I'm
mentioned
probably
in the
gonna
weapon
start with.
section notes. And
a
it also
particular
changed,
poem,
but I will get to that when I get to weapons.
but I want to
Dying
read through it a
condition
couple
was
times
removed, and it was
because
replaced by
it's
death saving throws.
rather
This just
wordy
says that after your
and
third successful death
it's
save,
something
you
that
regain
picks
1 hit
its
point,
words
you remain unconscious, and
precisely.
you start a short rest. The unconsciousness ends when
So
you
I want to
recover
make
any
sure
additional hit
that
points,
I
or until an action is
don't
used to
befuddle
open
it
this
or
third stage,
fumble
which requires
all
a
over it.
successful DC 10 Wisdom Medicine check. Now, what's missing here is how healing kits are supposed to work. If the purpose of
It's
this
the
rule
source
is to
of
remove the notion of being
one of my favorite sections, which is "Come away, O human child." Now, I always misremembered it. The actual quote is "Come away, O human child, to the waters and to the wild." I remembered it as "to the woods and to the wild." But I like my brain is kind of like settled on a chain of it. Come away, O human child, to the woods and to the wild. See what darkness brings. See the darker things. And then I usually just trail off from there into random mishmash and knickknack. But the actual poem, that's about halfway through the first verse of the poem. And it's a good poem. And then I have a couple other poems that I rather like, and I just poem. And then also reading some stories is always fun. But what is your brain pickle doing? Lol. I mean, yeah, no, that yes, quite simply, yes. Like I don't know what you have in plan, but I need to make Mage a video game for starters, because uh, while it's grand and everything to have it on tabletop sim, more people will play it and give me money about it if I have my own game, and they have to spend like $5 to get the game. Yeah, so like I need to get over the hurdle of programming. That, but I also like just smashing other things and um, doing your homework and stuff. Like I would have no problem with you doing your homework and stuff. And I mean, that sounds rather sexy as long as a wizard is involved. You know, so like my go-to like is the best um example of like games I like is the Arcanum of Steamwork and Magic Obscura. Um, and it's basically like in a fantasy setting, the Industrial Revolution is occurring. The catch, uh, technology beyond a certain complexity requires the laws of physics to work, and the way that magic works implicitly fucks with the laws of physics. So the two of them are incompatible. And if you have like, say you have like a steam engine and you're trying to cast like a cantrip uh near the steam engine, uh cantrip's probably not going to go off. But if, say, you're trying to cast like uh in the game there's roughly like 7 circles of magic. So you're say you're casting like a third level spell near a steam engine. The steam engine might pop a piston, or like might pop a bolt or something, and so now you've corrupted the steam engine. So they, when you're on a train, you are actually banned from using magic because they want to make sure that you're not breaking the train. Also, if you're a high level wizard and you go near a train, you break the laws of physics, so you might break the train, so you're just banned from using trains. Mm. The plague of syphilis. Maybe you should stop fucking random strangers. Ah, but that's the best part. It's just a country where like it's a free use country. Yeah, not quite free use, but you get where I'm trying to go with that, where it's just like um monogamy is emotional only kind of thing, and people are able to divest between sexual and emotional. Um and so they have like this weird dichotomy of everybody sleeps with everybody, but all of a sudden there's this plague that only gets transmitted through sexual interaction. I mean, plague doctors are entertaining as well. But Victorian era is when Jon Snow showed up, and Jon Snow kind of fixed that whole schnick. I love that Jon Snow is the guy that's basically responsible for modern hygienic sewage and the like practices. Because when the cholera broke out, um, he traced back to where the breakout began. Yeah, super funny. Um,
This video is brought to you by Babbel. Readers, there's no denying that King Shark is a shark. But King Shark is also queer. And before all the homophobes and wannabe comic skaters come on here to say that the bit that I'm referring to in the DC animated universe movie Justice League Dark Apocalypse War was just a joke, or that it doesn't mean anything, or that I'm reading too hard into it, don't forget that those same individuals said the same thing regarding the line Pedro said at the end of the first Shazam movie that hinted at him being gay in order to not have to acknowledge it.
Not my thing.
Only for Shazam, Fury of the Gods to confirm the initial read of the situation, not once, but twice.
We're superheroes. I'm gay.
Yeah, we know, bud.
Yeah?
Yeah?
Yeah. Oh.
And don't worry, I'm only in fact talking about both Shazam movies.
That's hilarious.
Channel and on Rita's 201, which you should totally subscribe to, by the way. But while it's incredibly easy to say that the decision to explore this aspect of this historic villain for hire that bigots didn't really start caring about until the idea of him sleeping with other men of various species popped into their heads, started with the reveal that he and disaster bisexual John Constantine used to date. One can argue that queer readings for Nanaue started at least a year before the movie's release.
Clockwork soldiers and Victorian era architecture with massive plague and big brewing war between multiple nations.
When the bit about
I'm down.
Constantine was revealed on the internet upon the release of Apocalypse War a year later, that was pretty much all a group of individuals who crave representation but are denied it in certain forms thanks to heteronormativity's association with white supremacy needed to seal the deal. So, for today's lesson, I want to dive into the aspects that made us as queer fans of DC Comics and other media revolving this universe so quick to claim Nanaue, aka King Shark, as one of our own, even before the famous wink of confirmation. And that means exploring the voice he had before the allegations began, if you could even call it that. What the Harley Quinn show did to make it extremely hard to beat those allegations, and what the show can do development-wise to help him finally own said allegations and truly live his truth. Let's begin. Hey readers, LaRon here, offering you analysis and perspective on your favorite bits of geek and pop culture media. And this video is sponsored by Babbel. Babbel is one of the top language learning apps in the world. And helps you
I really wish I could stream Arcanum, but Arcanum just does not agree with any form of like switching out of it or anything. And so it's really hard to stream. I was thinking of doing it as a like running it on a different computer and just streaming it onto, or having that stream into my main computer and then playing it that way. But when I did that, it didn't agree with it didn't agree with my main computer. So it's a weird, troubling mess, and I don't have a fix for it. But it is amazing, and I strongly suggest you play it. It like set the bar for like what. So if you're playing a CRPG, what should you be able to do? The answer is, when I walk up to a lock, my answer should be as follows. I guess I can't unlock it. Oh, I have lockpicks. Oh, I have a skeleton key I made with my high technological skill. Oh, I'm a wizard. I have skill, or I can unlock this with a spell. Or, oh, I have an axe, and that's an object. Let's do that unmake thing. Plenty of games have some of these options. But not all of them have, or most of them don't have all of them, or at least all of the ones that fit their setting. So I find that a problem. Like, for instance, there's one thing that fits every setting and is rarely involved. And that's, oh, there's a lock here. What if I apply axe? And that is rarely accommodated. I have played, and then similarly, they have, the game does a lot towards the, oh, you have 6 intelligence? Well, you're not the sharpest shed in the tool. And you talk that way. And some people that, granted, are assholes, will look down on you because you can't talk properly. So enjoy that. And then in the game, as you're playing through, like, you'll run into some characters. They'll give you massive, they'll increase the price of things. or they'll even some people will just flat out refuse to talk to you after you open your mouth. And it's pretty funny. It builds for a more interesting game as long as you account for the like if the character is not a smarter character. That game also has the ability for you to play an idiot savant character where you're actually very intelligent. Your social cute abilities are not developed, so your how they handle it is that they just um, treat you as counting as being a low intelligence person, regardless of what your actual intelligence is for social encounters. So you talk in that unintelligent manner, but your actual intelligence is say like 17 or whatever. And that's really cool, and it creates a fun mechanic to it. But yeah, it's a good game. I strongly suggest, especially if you like the Victorian industrial age shenanigans. As it is like a full on dwarves, gnomes, and elves fantasy setting, where you get technology and magic fighting for victory. And the main plot culminates in dealing with people who are working to utilize the incompatibility of magic and technology to create new technology. It's far more complicated than that, but that's the gist of what's going on. Where they basically go with the like, okay, so this is breaking physics, so I'm going to actively create a technology that only works with the broken physics, and then enchant that. But yeah, so lots of fun.
Conversations. Whether your reasons for learning a new language are because you're planning on exploring a new culture, better connecting with your friends and family, helping advance your career, or simply because you want to challenge yourself, Babbel can help you get there in 3 weeks. As I explained in previous videos,
I was
one of the
sad
main
and
languages
I was disappointed because I thought that
Indonesian.
and
What initially attracted
there
me to
is
Babbel
a
was that
woman
it
that
was
comes
one
into
of the
work,
main languages available to learn
and
on the
she
internet.
is like
Pair that with how
a
easy it
nerd
is
to
for me
11,
learn at my own pace and be
as well
user-friendly,
as like
and
a
using it
volunteer
pretty much is a
firefighter.
no-brainer.
And
So if you're looking to get a new language
I
under
was
your
gonna
belt or reunite
ask
with
for her
one from
number,
your
and
past,
then I
you can use the link
thought
in the
I
description
saw
box
like a
below
wedding,
to get
a marriage
60%
ring,
off of your subscription
but then
when you
realized
sign up.
later that it was
And
not.
if you're finding that the app isn't for you, Babbel has a 20-day money-back guarantee.
And now I feel dumb
Remember, everyone who signs up to Babbel
because
with the link in the description box below not only gets
she's like 10 out of 10 nerd, and
doing
I,
so
I, I
also
really
helps out the channel as well.
like.
Thanks again to Babbel for sponsoring this video. Now, on to the lesson. Was King Shark queer before the Apocalypse War movie? No, and that's because only a select amount of creators did anything prominent with King Shark's personality before the Apocalypse War movie.
Okay. King Shark was a rarely used character, period. To the best of my knowledge, the original iteration of King Shark was in a relationship with a woman, and then things got fuckered, and yeah, things went sideways for him. King Shark has is it Croc or King Shark? So the second thing that I was gonna say is either a Croc or King Shark thing. King Shark Orca. Okay, maybe it was a Killer Croc. Okay, yeah, it's Killer Croc and Orca is what I was thinking of.
So, before this gives peeps the opportunity to say that I'm cherry picking certain stuff like the Snyder Bros did with my Krypton video, let's acknowledge where King Shark originated. Not as a member of Aquaman's rogues gallery like some would think, but actually a member of Superboy's. Specifically, this Superboy. Yes, we're getting back into 90s shit. That's right. King Shark was originally introduced as a villain for Con-El/Connor Kent when he moved to Hawaii to try and make it on his own, after finding Metropolis too crowded when Superman came back from the dead. The first time. Ironically enough, ever since Brian Michael Bendis brought back 90s Connor and aged up Jonathan Kent, he's doing the same thing now that Metropolis has two Superman and a Supergirl around. Because time is a circle when you hire a writer that wants to do nothing but relive nostalgia.
Wow.
I said what I said. Now, while his
Somebody's
Carl
salt.
Kessel was inspired by the Hawaiian myth Nanaue the Shark Man, and even both named him and formed his origin around the myth in order to give him the status of demigod, King Shark wasn't initially intended to have the same amount of intelligence akin to other humanoid furry DC villains like Gorilla Grodd, for example. Instead, according to Kessel, he wrote him to be, and I quote, more animalistic, someone who was a barely functioning human. From then on, up until the New 52 reboot of DC Comics, King Shark would go back and forth between being forced to participate in the Suicide Squad, dealing with Aquaman, because it only made sense, and fighting Superboy. Then, thanks to her being a fan of his, King Shark was given more intelligence and, as a result, more personality, thanks to being placed on the rotation of the Suicide Squad's cousin team, the Secret Six, in a series written by popular DC Comics writer Gail Simone.
Oh.
You know, the one that every comic skater dude bro challenges her DC comic book knowledge because they don't know she actually writes DC fucking comics. King Shark's presence over the course of Secret Six was truly rags to riches. He was initially introduced in the series as early
Aquaman
as
has so
issue 2
many
in
enemies.
2008 as one of a bunch of D-list villains hired to find Tarantula, a villain who would eventually become one of the Secret Six regular members, by the Ark's villain named Junior for stealing a metal card of his after the team busted her out of Alcatraz. And while he got his ass handed to him, the fact that he had more intelligence in his previous iterations to now be able to communicate and talk in proper sentences was way more than what we got in the past. Then, 2 years later in 2010, he was hired by Bane, one of the regular and more prominent members of the team, as a possible rotator for an upcoming mission in issue 20.
I like to
a
eat
story
people
centering
with
Thomas
eating
Blake,
disorders.
aka Catman, another founding member of this iteration, and also bisexual, and then officially debuted on the team in issue 25. And in case you were wondering, yes, this run is where the I'm a Shark song came from.
It.
The point is that for the
Oh
longest
god.
time,
I'm a shark, I'm a
despite
shark, I'm a
having
shark, I'm a shark.
mythical and supernatural
I'm a shark,
origins
I'm a
surrounding
shark, I'm a
deities
shark.
associated with
I'm a shark,
native
shark,
Hawaiians,
shark,
was
I'm a
just a
shark,
mindless
I'm a shark,
creature
I'm
that
a shark.
wasn't really given that much value outside of being someone violent for 90s Superboy to fight.
Well,
Then, a proud feminist known for bringing fun yet compelling stories DC's way, saw enough potential in this character, initially destined to be pulled out of a villain of the week bin whenever someone needed somebody to fight, flesh him out, and give him a voice. Literally. Because outside of his demigodhood, King Shark had nothing before Gail Simone touched him. And with her touching him, and showing the rest of both DC and their audience how much potential he has as both a villain and an Amanda Waller related team member, it prompted other writers of various iterations of DC stories to put their own spin on him. It just so happened that writers Margaret Scott and Ernie Altbacker did exactly that, with the last installment of Disney's first animated movie universe, Justice League Dark: Apocalypse War. So, it's incredibly important to acknowledge that part of the reason this decision was made by both
Apocalypse
Scott
is
and
weird.
Altbacker wasn't just for laughs. In the DC animated movie universe, DCAU for short, John Constantine
Like, Apocalypse fits into this really weird, like, in-between situation where it simultaneously is technology and magic and mysticism and gods. And I get it, but it's still fucking weird.
Constantine's main love interest has pretty much been Zatanna, and that's definitely true in the case of Apocalypse War. However, a fact that's just as true is that despite the heteronormative relationship he's in that plays a very important role in the ending chapter of the DCAMU, Constantine is also bisexual, and they wanted to find a way to properly do right by that aspect of his identity. Now, ever since the movie came out and the scene...
See, I think it's more accurate to say that Constantine is by... Oh, got brain. My there's word that's just not there. He's an equal opportunity offender.
Implying that Constantine and King Shark dated, a
You
lot
the
of the usual
floozy.
suspects began to open up their mouths. Who are the usual suspects?
Although he's
The
not
racists
nearly as
and
bad as
homophobes that love
the
to
original
complain about
floozy,
race-swapping a character that was
Jack
originally made
Harkness.
white, or complain that their
That
sexuality
man
is
would
anything
flirt
but
with
straight,
a
only to
piece of
hide under the banner of
cardboard.
respect the character as created and just make your own POC/queer characters so that they don't get immediately challenged. And then go on to complain about wokeness taking over when said POC and queer characters do get created. It's almost as if, thanks to them hiding behind centrist ideals to promote their bigotry, it's not worth listening to these guys. At all. Anyways, their argument was that this was simply a joke that wasn't meant to be taken seriously. A bit of humor to help make light of a dark situation that is the people of Earth's final stand against Darkseid and Apocalypse. Especially since this version of King Shark, like Groot in Guardians of the Galaxy, has a limited vocabulary, only capable of saying King Shark is a shark.
King Shark is a shark.
You know, until the last of the Suicide
Okay.
Squad makes their final stand.
It's been an honor to fight by your side. Are you shitting me?
But then, both Scott and
Fucking great.
Altback reveal that thanks to wanting to do right by Constantine's bisexuality, they plan to actually go in depth with how the two's relationship went if they didn't have to factor in the runtime of the movie. Revealing that scenes were cut, showing Constantine could actually understand him via magic back when we all thought all he could say was King Shark was a shark, and reveal that he was actually the one that got his heart broken after catching feelings for John because John thought that he was too clingy and didn't want to be tied down, him being a disaster bisexual and all. Yep. Because wanting to do what Love and Thunder did when it explained when Thor and Jane broke up is exactly what one does when setting up a simple bit for a joke regarding how much Constantine gets around. Once again, it's almost as if we should stop giving these complaining assholes the time of day. Now, while it's nice to know that this elaboration in their relationship and King Shark's newfound queerness as a result was something that was initially planned in the film, That one scene that resulted in a sense of awkward comedy was immediately grabbed by DC's queer cape fan base and cherished as something that's now incredibly important to his character once it was released in 2020. Why? Because outside of his initial creation and Gail Simone giving him actual personality, there's very little about King Shark that actually defines him. Also, as I've stated in plenty of previous videos on the subject matter, we queer people naturally gravitate toward monsters due to the relatability of the isolation they endure, we being the other regarding the fear of the other, and others who have the nerve to question why someone could ever find love and happiness with us when said individuals could just be normal instead. Also, yes, a good amount of us are either furries, monster fuckers, or both, but you know what I mean. The combination of this declaration of queerness, regardless of how small it is, along with the lack of personal identity that he's endured for the longest, made readings of King Shark being queer pretty much.
Is it just me, or did that a little bit sound like a confession?
Inevitable. However, I'd argue that they started even before Apocalypse War even came out. Because remember, we had another version of King Shark available to us an entire year before Apocalypse War. And even before that movie dropped, there was enough material there to show us the potential for King Shark's queerness, thanks to Harley Quinn. 1 year before his appearance in Justice League Dark Apocalypse War, and 2 years before his theatrical debut in James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, in which he's gone on record to say that the resemblance was completely coincidental, King Shark was planned to be a regular character in the Harley Quinn animated series as part of her gang. This would be the first time both comic book fans and casual mainstream audiences would see what's been deemed his friend-shaped form. Before James Gunn's The Suicide Squad released the movie and its promotional material.
And? Yes, that is your hand in our way. Very good.
And comedian Ron Funches, the voice of Harley Quinn's King Shark, has gone on record to say that they simply asked him to just be himself in order to play the role. You know, with the caveat of being able to kill people. Now, I want to officially state that everything I'm about to say from here on out is strictly aimed at the character of King Shark on the Harley Quinn animated series, not Ron Funches himself. I don't do queer witch hunts here, and I both acknowledge and respect that everyone's journey of self-discovery is different if they're on one. If it turns out Ron's queer, then that's great. I'll be ready to welcome him into the fold when he tells us that he is. But he'll find that out on his own time and share with everyone when he's comfortable doing so. Or not. I wouldn't be mad at him if it turns out that he's pulling a Luther Vandross in this instance.
Super funny. I say super funny when I mean absolutely monstrous. I think it was Texas that recently was passed. No, it was Florida. Basically, they passed a "Don't Say Gay" bill, where if your school becomes aware of any change to your status as of like sexuality or anything like that, or mental health, they're required to notify your parents. Even if your parents are fundamentalist religious nuts that are gonna like send you to conversion therapy, they're still gonna notify them of that.
And if he's not, that's cool too.
Obviously, like conversion therapy kind of stuff is not acceptable or approved legally or anything of that nature. However, I have zero respect or expectation that people that have enough money to send you to that conversion therapy aren't going to be able to find some asshole who thinks it's okay.
Cisgendered heterosexual men that are either naturally effeminate or are deeply southern also exist and have the right to do so. And he could be one, the other, or both. So, in regards to the characterization of King Shark and Harley Quinn, the animated series, we had a lot to work with regarding spotting queer coding, even when season 1 was all we had in 2019. We even had a bit of foreshadowing to his relationship with his family that would eventually be the character arc points in future seasons.
Oh, I have not turned my back on the aquatic world. It turned its back on me.
But a lot of the initial points we received in season 1 had a lot to do with the way the show took what Gail Simone did for the character and channeled it to match the overall comedic tone of the show. Both his carefree, aloof attitude.
Is that a shark joke? If so, it's very funny.
And his overall aggression.
I love
when
guns.
you factor in Ron Funches giving a deeper, yet still effeminate vocal registry of his own voice for said dialogue. You know, the same usually found in femme-leaning queer black men that has since been stereotyped to death by heteronormativity to the point where avoiding being perceived that way became a clear sign of internalized homophobia.
Wait, how'd you... What?
You can see
why does it no
King
longer
Shark
label
in
you
Harley
as
Quinn
first?
Wasn't just queer coded. He was black queer coded. Because as we would see in season 2 when it was released in 2020 and season 3 in 2022, important members of his family were introduced and also voiced by a black talent, including voice acting powerhouse himself Phil Lamar as his father the Shark God, and Uncle Ruckus himself, Gary Anthony Williams, voicing his younger brother. And because season 1 did a
Uncle
job of
Ruckus.
showing us that
That's a fucking great voice actor to use.
From dialogue and mannerisms alone, a lot of aspects about his background and backstory as they unfurled properly fed into that. The most prominent one being his relationship with the Shark Kingdom and his father, the Shark God. While it's true that part of the reason King Shark left is because he feels guilty for killing his younger brother at a young age, he also left the Shark Kingdom.
What is up with that? Why did it not show you as first in the previous message, but it did in the one before and after? I swear.
His father, the
Twitch
Shark God, said monarch
going
and
wrong
stickler for tradition, is forcing him to go through with an arranged marriage, despite it not being what King Shark wants, in order to keep the treaty with the Hammerheads upheld. And because King Shark refuses to go through with the marriage at first, he's labeled as selfish for not prioritizing the kingdom first and foremost over his own desires. A sentiment shared by the Little Mermaid Sebastian parody lobster that goes to find him in episode 9.
And now it's time for you to shark up.
As those of us who experience similar treatment know, acts like this from individuals in our families, while not completely exclusive to it, are clear indicators of familial homophobia. Family members, whether blood or found, that treat other family members shoddily, simply but specifically because they are queer. And the displays vary from family member to family member, from clips that can come off as hurtful and very...
I mean, I was... One of the most direct things I have experienced personally was my brother actually saying, just don't be gay. Like literally straight up, that was the phrase. Which I am 100% certain he now no longer has that opinion. Just he's experienced a lot more of the world since then. But that was a sentence that he'd said in the past. That being said, my parents, like, any version of whatever the fuck I am, they don't give a flying fuck. It's do we still get grandchildren is literally their only give a fuck. So
Varying degrees of exclusion to brutal
is great.
attacks, physically
I love
or
my parents.
mentally,
They're
that
awesome.
either directly or indirectly affect the life of the queer family member in question.
My dad has been a very difficult man to live with for most of growing up, but he has grown up a lot, and I'm very pleased or very happy with that, and he is a much better man than he used to be.
Worst case scenario, resulting in them ending.
But he never had any like limitations on his love for us. It was more just like he was a good dad, bad person. And he's become a lot better person over time.
Said life. Now, I say not completely exclusive to familial homophobia because while the situations can be different, the feelings of rejection, shame, and disgust can be felt from the victimized party even if it's completely unrelated to one's own sexuality or how members of the family initially perceive it. What makes King Shark's experience with his father and brother in season 3, when we unpack that bit, more aligned with the relatability.
Okay, let's look at this. This glass, like, I know it's like ice or whatever inside of this glass of blood or whatever, but or wine. Maybe it's wine. It's just that's not what it looks like. It looks like a sparkly glass.
Relatability of familial homophobia than anything else, however, it's because of King Shark's initial rejection and rebellion of his father's demand.
I also am really enjoying like it's got this shimmer like it's water, but simultaneously the glass has somehow contained all of the alcohol, which would so not be the case.
For him to participate in a heteronormative marriage.
No shark of mine marries for love.
If King Shark could be seen as queer-coded since season 1 and is rejecting a long-awaited act of heteronormativity by his father in season 2,
I respect your reading of that as heteronormativity, but I would actually debate that that's a situation of there is an expectation of political marriage which is not being upheld, which is as bad, but also not the same thing.
It's made easier to see what Shark God is pushing as homophobia, because homophobia as a system does not tolerate
You're such a weirdo.
And nothing resembled a retaliation to said opposition more than when Shark God said this after King Shark told him off.
On away. If you leave my kingdom again, you can never return.
Then this is goodbye, Father.
So why did he agree to marry Tabitha despite them agreeing to be in an open relationship in order to be with the people that they really want to be with? The same reason why he felt the need to fight his younger brother to keep from selling the kingdom after crowning him king when Shark God died. Guilt. Familial guilt. And familial guilt as a queer person is fucking heavy. That same desire to not want to lose his father, despite truly meaning every word that he told him when he confronted Shark God upon his initial summoning, prompted him to talk it out with Tabitha and set some stuff in motion to get them to where they are at the end of
That Clayface?
Well, I can't say no to King Daddy, but at least now he knows I'm not happy about it.
And while Prince Shark had every right to share how he felt abandoned to deal with their dad,
all right,
King Shark left
work on getting your battery.
Which even
let
King
your car
healthily
not explode. Exploding cars is bad.
Guilt their father embedded in King Shark to make him feel bad about going off to form his own life away from the kingdom that caused him to stop and ultimately kill his last living sibling in order to keep him from selling the kingdom to Ocean Master. The familial
Ocean Master is the
homophobic
problem.
actions of the father, both alive and beyond the grave, brutally directly and indirectly affecting the life of the family member we're looking at with a queer lens. And before you ask, well, why are y'all even looking at King Shark like that, even to make those comparisons? Remember that the first episode that gave us a deeper dive into this family history and how much he cherishes the idea of finding true love with someone he considers his soulmate premiered on the DC Universe streaming service May 29th of 2020. 24 days after Justice League Dark Apocalypse War came out. The same movie that not only played with the idea of King Shark being queer, but implied that, to use his speech in episode 9 of Harley Quinn season 2 as evidence, he thought he found the one with John Constantine. Thanks to the writers of the film sharing they wanted to explore the relationship more than just with a simple awkward moment and a wink. We had almost an entire month to soak up the idea that King Shark is queer before only guessing from how he was characterized in season 1 of Harley Quinn a year earlier. And, as I've recently explained, 2022 season 3 gave us a deeper look at how the allegorical familial homophobia initially prompted by his father continues to fuel his guilt. Not to mention, season 3 introduces us to Constantine in the Swamp Thing episode, and we get a hilarious Easter egg to that moment in Apocalypse War that started all of this. But another thing that season 3 does, if you pay attention to body language...
Wait, what? I think I tanked the shark.
But another thing that season 3 does, if you pay attention to body language, is ask a very important question. And that question is, what about Tabitha? If you paid attention to the episode of season 3 where King Shark crowns his younger brother as king after Shark God passes, then you would have noticed that he has a moment to himself where he wonders if he wants to be king or not. And it's in that moment we see his wife Tabitha get a bit excited at the idea. Considering now that King Shark is now king because he killed his last remaining sibling, thanks to the guilt bestowed upon him by the familial homophobia of his recently deceased father, and that it's been shown throughout their relationship that neither Nanaue or Tabitha are truly...
Okay, so I do find it a little perturbing of how, or when, okay, so his context of using the phrase familial homophobia, it feels wrong as to what he's actually referencing. I understand what he's saying, but it's just like familial expectations feels like a more correct sentence. Kind of like shoehorning in something that's not directly related but tangentially related is what it feels like, where it's like you could kind of include it as part of the homophobic expectation where the father's expecting for a heteronormative expectation or a heteronormative outcome to his son's relationships. But I wouldn't call that explicitly a homophobic expectation just because, like, they don't actually explore if, for instance, there was a male hammerhead shark that he was in a relationship with, would that be an issue? They simply say, okay, so there's this female hammerhead shark, and we're like arranging their marriage. They don't actually, I'm not watching the show. I have not watched the show. So if they don't explore that, then I would say that the statement of homophobia is incorrect.
Interested in each other, No, that ghost parody at the beginning of the Valentine's Day special doesn't count. They would have either had a couch confessional or been featured as promptly as Clayface in his lower half if that was the case. That one instance of Tabitha in all of season 3 kind of solidified it for me that she's more attracted to the idea of becoming queen than she is attracted to him. So, if you'll allow me, since we've gotten confirmation that season 4 is coming and will be released sometime in 2023,
Can you really be
I'd like
surprised?
to do a bit of predicting regarding where I think they're going to take King Shark's storyline and how his queerness can still be presented both allegorically and, more importantly, literally. So let's address the obvious. I think
More
Tabitha is
importantly,
going to try and
literally.
kill King Shark and claim the kingdom for the Hammerheads now that she's incredibly close to obtaining the throne. I think that King Shark realizing he's now in a monarchical invasion of his home simply because he caved into the desires of Shark God in season 2 is what finally tells him that he's holding on to an institution that he never truly wanted and that he only felt compelled to hold on to because of how his father's allegorical familial homophobia made him feel guilty for trying to quote unquote selfishly abandon it. And because this is still the portion of his arc that's mostly allegory, he's going to realize that even though holding on to it cost him his birth family, King Shark truly needs to let go of the aspects of his life that, while he always wanted their acceptance and respect, he knew he would never receive because of who he is and what he wants. Which,
like a carnival, and the microphone smells like a beer.
to a certain extent, is pretty relatable for a lot of queer peeps who have to make a hard choice, or not so hard choice depending on your situation, to no longer feel obligated to the wants, desires, and demands of your birth family and embrace the love, acceptance, and support of your found family. Because remember, blood is thicker than water isn't the actual proverb. It's the blood of the covenant is thicker than the water of the womb, which means the family that you choose to make a bond with is more important than the one that you're birthed into. And I can truly see that being where King Shark's arc in Harley Quinn can go.
So, did we leave room for dessert?
Readers, with season 4 of Harley Quinn approaching, the showrunners and writers have a prime opportunity to let King Shark have a much needed realization about both himself and what he wants in a rather impactful way. Especially considering, despite it being a comedy show, how much they displayed the importance of trust, communication, and honesty in Harley and Ivy's arc as a couple over the course of season 3. Then, once he makes that realization and truly decides to let go, he could go on and properly solidify the queerness that was implied about the version of the character in Apocalypse War, and have him meet a guy. It doesn't necessarily have to be Constantine, but at this point, the queerness that has been added to King Shark's character is now just as prominent as everything that has been added to him since Gail Simone decided that he was worth fleshing out. And it should be handled with just as much importance. But I digress, readers. Your homework assignment for the day. Write in the comment section below what your...
All right, so I think I'm going to call that a night. My brain biscuit is fully fleshed out, and we're gonna go and raid over to Cherryfish, as she's doing art, and it's good exercise in just expanding your horizons to more artistic and more artistically enabled individuals than myself. So do keep in mind, if you're not subscribed, that's the appropriate tag. Otherwise, Boom, boom. That's for those whom are just subscribed. And thank you for coming and joining. And I hope you have a lovely evening. And have a good night.
Lancer, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome, readers. The Warless is watching. Let's go. Today, good day. And thanks for the raid. We're happy you're stopping by the bloom today. So cozy on up. And if you should stay, I hope we can melt all of your worries away. Lancer, how was your stream? What were you up today? Blah, blah, blah. What were you up to today? Welcome, raiders. We're winding down a little bit here, but thank you so much for joining us. My name is Cherryfish. I am a slice of life variety streamer. I like to sing, cook, craft, learn, and play. I'm currently trying to complete a lanyard pattern design for my friend Bun. How are you? Welcome, welcome. Nokia, welcome to the bloom. I hope you have a titty good stay. Doing some smudge and watching YouTube. Smudge? What's smudge? Is that a game or is that an art thing? Welcome, readers. Yes. Smudge. I am a rookie artist, so many things are new to me. Would you like to pay an art tax? If you have anything family friendly you would like to share, we can give you a permit. Oh, how interesting. That sounds like it would be tricky. How cool though, what an interesting technique. Currently trying to think of a catchphrase that my friend Bun says, since this is like her little catchphrase lanyard. Art tax, yeah, let us know if you want to pay the art tax and we'll give you a permit. Feeling hard! It's all a learning process. It still sounds very fun though. Shizu, what does Bun say? Bun smooches a lot. I don't want to just put smooches on here though. That'll be a weird thing to put on a lanyard for everybody. Oh wait, I'm silly. Bun hi. Bun hi. Welcome to Bun hi. Welcome. Oh, we could put it in like a dialogue box. You know how in Otome, the little dialogue box? Otome dialogue box. Big brain! Also, Lancer, if you need to rest and decompress after your stream, please feel free to do so. Thank you so much for dropping in. What if I make a white box and then I erase for the writing? Let's see. Sheeps. I think the corner too round. Corner is too round. Try to make it look like a dialogue box. I'll put welcome to Fun High. Oops, I need to put it in a separate layer. Welcome to Fun High. We'll give you a permit really quick. You can feel free to post a link. Center this. Oh, not that center. Center. No, not that center. Oh, I would have to write it pretty small. If you need more time, let me know. We can do it again.